Why did you
Welcome to the source.
You waited till we hit the go live button?
Source. Hey, get the source.
Greetings. Good morning. And a special shout out to those of you who stayed up and watched the end of that game last night. Many of you may still be awake because it ended about 15 minutes ago. Didn't even notice it was that late, too. I was like, wow, this is double overtime. And then I look, it was like 2:17 a.m. Like, holy shit. Yeah, it was a fun one. I did have a few dollars on San Jose State money line, so I wish they got the win. But I also played the plus 12.5, and I got Illinois. So it's always nice watching those crazy games when you're up, like playing with house money, you know. So it's fun, a lot of fun to watch. Pretty excited for today. I feel like I was a little more conservative. I only have about 12 bets open, and you know the last 2 weeks in college football. Obviously, last week was a bloodbath. But if you throw in the week before that, taking a lot of extra losses. Not last week, which was a disgrace, but 2 weeks ago, I finished down a unit on that Saturday. My top 4 bets went 4-0. So what's happening is I'm getting ready for this show and I'm looking at all these games and preparing my notes, and I'm just like adding these bets that I don't necessarily. I just feel like I got too trigger happy, and so I was a little more conservative this week. There's a bunch of bets that we'll talk about today that I like that I didn't place. So I was a little more conservative this week, partially because I got crushed last week, but also because I think maybe spreading myself a little too thin. So yeah, so let's have a good one. It's nice to come in here, up some money on the week thanks to last night. Yes, we are going in order, because the truth is we went in order last week and people complained last year, and people complained. They're going to complain no matter what, but definitely more complaints this year going not in order. So what we're going to do is we're going in order of kickoff times, but we save the 5 or 6 biggest games for the end. So that's what we're doing. So we got a lot to get through. Let's start with possible preview of the SEC championship here. 2 elite SEC programs, 2 head coaches that are completely safe. Billy Napier on the road in Starkville here. Billy Napier as a road favorite is like laugh out loud funny, but thinking about betting Mississippi State right now is also kind of funny. So I don't have a bet in this game. If I was to play something, I would say fade both these defenses and take the over. I mean, if I'm being honest, on paper, I think Florida should win by 2 touchdowns, but I think that team's quit, man. I think that team may have quit on Billy Napier. So I'll just throw over up there for me. I want to hear what these guys have to say, but I don't feel strongly either way. I don't feel like I should waste any of our time talking about this game. Why should we?
Yeah, like I told you guys last week, Mississippi State's a bottom seller SEC team. They are complete dog shit. And true, Florida's been disappointing against Miami, A&M, but there's absolutely no way you can make me take Mississippi State. I'm sorry. That Toledo game was atrocious. Plus, after this game, Mississippi takes on number 1 Texas, number 2 Georgia. This team's going 1-5. I don't Mertz or Lagway. I don't really care who's starting. I'm gonna grab them here, even on the road. I need something back there. Mertz isn't it. Even when he has pressure on him, he makes throws.
Mertz looked pretty good last week, though.
Yeah,
out the interception, he looked good.
I mean, his throws still make me want to puke, but Florida's going to get time there because Mississippi State's pass rush is one of the worst, and Florida's pass protection is there. So, really, maybe Florida just needs to get out of the swamp here and play in Starksville, because I just feel like they're going to start faster and take advantage of one of the worst defenses in the SEC. So, give me Florida.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think there's a very good chance that on Monday we could be seeing a Billy Napier has been fired graphic. I think they could lose this game. Neither team's coming in with much energy here. Obviously, they're about as negative as you can get from an SEC team's perspective. I think Mississippi State's better than the way they played. I mean, that's fairly obvious. They went into that game and basically laid a goose egg against one of the worst teams in the MAC. So that was embarrassing. But now this number started at 4.5. It's going up. People are betting Florida. Look, I'm not one to say you're supposed to back Mississippi State here, but I certainly wouldn't be backing Florida either. This team is god awful. They had a perfect scenario, perfect situation last week at home against A&M, a team who was starting a quarterback for the first time. Nobody knew much about him, and they got ripped to shreds. I think Blake Shapen could rip them to shreds today as well. So it's not like it's one of my favorite bets, but I would lean Mississippi State here. This is they're good at home. I know they got killed at home last week, but they are a good team at home. Starkville's not an easy place to play, and I think that their fan base is going to show up for this one because, I mean, it got as negative as it could get, but this is probably one of the only wins left on their schedule after this week. So, yeah, Mississippi State.
I don't know if I've ever seen the comments in unison say don't bet on a game like this before.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
It's terrible.
Let's move on to the next one, which is James Madison, North Carolina. And Prop Beaver, can you adjust? Can you get Andy's head is cut off the top of the screen, but it's not in his. No, it's not really his camera. It's his.
He's got a big head. I mean, what do you want?
He's just got a huge head.
Massive head.
So I bet the under in this game. It's obviously not one of my big bets. I don't not in love with it, but I do think the under will hit here. I got it at 48.5 last night. Now it looks like it's not going to be Connor Harrell at quarterback for North Carolina, so definitely adds a little bit of unpredictability. But still, since Mac Johnson went down, this North Carolina offense has been run first. These two teams are both in the top 25 in run frequency. Also, James Madison runs a super slow pace, 111th in pace so far, in plays per game, I should say, so far. So, they're 10th and 21st in run frequency, by the way. So these two teams have been running the shit out of the ball, and both these defensive fronts look pretty good. Now, maybe both are a little bit unproven. North Carolina, though, on the season, they're 5th in the country in yards per carry allowed, 37th in effective rush. They held Minnesota to 2.4 yards per carry on the road in Minnesota. And we've seen that Minnesota's capable of getting the run going a little bit. I mean, I'm not going to say, they shut down the elite rushing attack that is Minnesota. But still, going on the road and holding Minnesota to 2.4 yards per carry, you definitely have a solid defensive front. So North Carolina kind of branded as this offensive team based on what we've seen with Sam Howell and Drake May, right? It's not who they are this year. They're running the football, and they're playing defense. So I expect look, James Madison, 10th in run frequency. This is a team that needs to run the ball to function. Jordan McLeod's gone. I don't think they're going to be able to here. And on the other side, I don't know how we could put any faith in North Carolina's offense, especially we got a kid making his first career start. And look, James Madison, their run defense was elite last year. All those guys are gone. Cincinnati's gone, right? Like, it's not the same James Madison team. They're still doing a solid job against the run this year. So under 48.5 is the bet I currently have placed.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I agree that the under would probably be the play in terms of a total. I'm not going to bet it, period, though. I really liked UNC when I heard when I thought it was Connor Harrell. Not that he's like a super great quarterback. He's not. But I thought the offense was maybe at least getting in a rhythm. There was some familiarity there. Now you're just throwing in another new guy at quarterback. That just completely takes me off of this offense. That means there's going to be no rhythm. They've never played together. It's a home game, but it's a tough one. James Madison's a pretty close school. They'll probably have a pretty good fan base there. They've had a good fan base recently in road games. And, like, they're clearly a team you should be worried about upsetting you. And now you have a quarterback who's never played before in Jacoby Criswell, who started with you or didn't start, but he was on your bench in 2022, left for Arkansas last year and came back. So clearly, like, this kid wanted to be at UNC. I don't know the situation, but like he's the third starting quarterback already this year for you. Like, this is just like they're.
Didn't you say he was a highly touted recruit though?
He was a 4-star recruit from North Carolina, so he's a hometown kid. But like again, like you don't know much about him, so I don't want to back him here. And I don't really like this JMU team. I know that their main strength is running the ball. Well, that's the only thing UNC.
They're not going to be able to run the ball here. I don't think.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to run. So like I really like the UNC, but I just don't think the offense is going to be in any type of rhythm, so I can't back them anymore. So no bet here.
So North Carolina or pass?
Yeah.
Scoop?
I would go under here. This James Madison team's supposed to be, not a rebuild, but really a refresh from last year. You can see they're not as explosive really through their two games. Plus, the two games are against Charlotte and Gardner-Webb. Gardner-Webb, they beat 13-6, and that was a terrible game. They were favored by 35.5 that game. And an interception led to 3 points there, too. James Madison just couldn't do anything. Do I trust North Carolina? No, not really. New quarterback. I actually like when new quarterbacks come in because it gives them a boost, but I think both teams are going to run the ball a lot. If North Carolina goes up early, I don't think James Madison's going to have enough offense because they're just not the same team from last year. So I would definitely go under here. James Madison doesn't have much of a run game or a pass game, and this game should be really slow-paced, and you never know how a new quarterback's going to do. So
all right,
under.
Let's move on to the next game. And the next game should be Houston-Cincinnati. Yep, Houston-Cincinnati. I almost placed a Cincinnati bet in this one, truly. It sounds crazy laying 3 and a hook with Cincinnati, and I'm pretty sure that most professionals are on Houston in this one. I think that would be the sharp side. But I personally think Cincinnati wins and covers. I didn't bet it. We finally saw the Cincinnati rushing attack last week that I thought we were going to see this year. If you watch our Cincinnati our preseason preview, I thought Cincinnati was going to have a pretty powerful rushing attack. They have a good offensive line. They like their RB room. Didn't really see that to start the season, but then they went on the road to Miami of Ohio. And look, we can make fun of the Red Hawks offense, and I'm sure we will in a few games when we get to that one. But that defense is still that was one of the best defenses in of any Group of 5 team last year, Miami of Ohio. And they brought back 2 all-conference linebackers. That's still a respectable defense there. Ran for 215 yards and 6.3 yards per carry on the road up there in Miami of Ohio. So I think Cincinnati's rushing attack is coming around. And even though Houston's run defense has been really strong, I still think Cincinnati's going to be able to run the ball in this game. I don't know really I still don't really know what I think about Sorsby at quarterback. They haven't really asked him to do much, but, he's protecting the football. I don't know if I necessarily trust him to win the game, but I think I might trust him not to lose the game. And then look on the other side. I know Cincinnati is not a defense. This is not a defense we trust, but they've actually got decent pass rushing metrics on the season. And Donovan Smith's really struggled with pressure. So I think Cincinnati wins and covers this. I couldn't bet it. You can put Cincinnati up for me, AJ. Yeah. So I'm on. I shouldn't say I'm on Cincinnati. My pick for this game would be Cincinnati. I didn't bet it. I know Andy's on Houston, or Bones Jones is on Houston.
Bones Jones is on Houston here. I don't think Cincinnati's gonna be able to run the ball. I gotta give Houston credit. I know the effective rush is 71st. I'm not 100% sold on the effective rush statistic. We'll get to that in a few games, but this defense has done a pretty good job. Not a pretty good job, a really good job stopping the run. The best rushing attack they faced was UNLV. That's all they do is run the ball. They own the 4.1 yards per carry. Now, they did get crushed in that game. That was because their offense made a ton of mistakes. Like, they lost 27-7, but they had a fumble on the other side of the field. Like, they had a lot of issues in that game that caused them to be bad. And then they held Oklahoma, and I know Oklahoma's not exactly a rush attack. 2.1 yards per carry on the road is really, really good. So, they did a really good job against the run this year. In terms of Cincinnati throwing the ball, Sorsby's much worse against man coverage. That's all Houston is running. And I think that's something that I've noticed, and I noticed it with McCord last night. Whenever Stanford was running zone, he was tearing them apart. Well, that's what he was good at. So I'm kind of reading into that stat, and I like that more, seeing how you do against the coverage that team's running. This guy's not very good against man. That's all they run. And then on the other side, Donovan Smith, much, much better against zone. That's all Cincinnati runs. He's very good, actually, against zone. Not good against man at all. So I think that helps. I also think he'll be able to get some things done with his legs. So I think the offense will have just enough. Because, again, this Cincinnati defense sucks. Not that either.
Dude, I think you're going to give Donovan Smith problems, man. Scoop?
No, this Cincinnati defense sucks. It is hard to trust this Houston team. I did pick them last week over Rice, but it looks like Rice just sucks. But all right, we'll talk about Rice soon. It's going to be a surprise for you guys. But Houston really don't do a lot offensively. They don't really need to. In that Rice game, Rice had 2 turnovers, 8 first downs, 150 yards. But Houston defense looks to be pretty great since that Oklahoma game two weeks ago. I'm going to grab the points with Houston just because I trust their defense. I feel like this should be pretty low scoring on both sides. I said it. I think we talked about this earlier. This is a bad offense going against a bad defense, and a good offense in Cincy going against a good defense in Houston. I know Houston's a little banged up. They have injuries on both sides of the ball. I know they have a wideout now, which really doesn't matter because Donovan Smith can't throw it well. But since he really didn't look great against Miami, Ohio last game, I think Houston wins this one outright, kind of. I think this is going to be payback from last season. As long as Donovan Smith doesn't have to do much with the ball, I think Houston's defense is going to keep him in this game all the whole way. So,
all right, next game. Next game, we got Kansas, West Virginia. When do you guys want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go because Jalen Daniels is an asshole. Every time I pick him, he's just playing so bad, and it's wild because that offensive line is giving him a ton of time. They're doing great on the line. He just doesn't get pressured a lot, and they have a top 10 line in terms of running the ball. And you see it, Devin Neal has 333 yards already. He's averaging 7.4 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns. Highshaw's averaging 6.6 yards. I know he's questionable. I don't know if he's playing, but still, I mean, even Neal, you got to put the ball on the ground. The problem is Daniels has 6 picks in 3 games, and he's only played really one good defense in Illinois. So even in West Virginia, they have a good run defense. They do, they really do. But I think they should just keep giving Neal the ball here. Kansas's defense isn't bad at all. They're 17th in yards allowed per game. I guess, if there's one defense to wake up against, it's against West Virginia, because you can see how bad this secondary played against Pitt. So I'm going to back Jalen Daniels again. I would take Kansas. They have better weapons. Jalen Daniels makes me sad, though.
Yeah, I disagree with the West Virginia has a good run defense. Yes, if you look at their metrics, they have a good run defense, but the last 2 weeks they've played teams that couldn't run the ball. Pitt has no interest in running the ball. It's a pass first team to the maximum with Holstein. And then before that, they played Albany. The only team they've played that runs the ball so far is Penn State, and they ran the ball all over them in Morgantown. So I don't think West Virginia's run. West Virginia's defense, I think, is just a failure at this point because they brought back a lot of production. It looks terrible. Holstein was piecing them up last week, and this is coming from somebody that had West Virginia money line. Couldn't make a stop. And the truth is, with this Kansas team, this is just the ultimate buy low spot on Kansas, if you ask me. I think they win outright. I got it at 2.5. I got plus 2.5, and I took the money line at plus 115. I think both of those numbers are gone. I still like Kansas to win. The truth is, yes, Kansas has taken back-to-back losses. They've outgained their opponent in each game. So if Jalen Daniels doesn't throw 5 interceptions in the last 2 weeks, they're undefeated right now, this Kansas team. And against this West Virginia defense, I don't think any quarterback could fumble the bag here because everyone's piecing them apart. So I think this Kansas, we can talk shit about Jalen Daniels. He's looked pretty bad, but this Kansas rushing attack has lived up to the hype. They look to be, this might be a top 10 rushing attack in the country. They're rated 5th in effective rush. Kansas should move the ball without problem here. And then look, this West Virginia offense is good for sure, but Kansas has actually done a really good job against the run so far this year. I'm not implying that Kansas is going to go into Morgantown and stop West Virginia from running the ball, but I think they will make some stops. I think this is ultimate buy low spot on Kansas, and I don't like the fact that West Virginia is just coming off the heartbreak. I don't really necessarily like that as a bounce. I think they were a little bit deflated last week. So yeah, I like Kansas to take this one outright.
I disagree. I will say both of these teams are in very similar positions as Florida and Mississippi State. They feel about as dead could be. Pitt, or I guess West Virginia specifically, losing that game was devastating. I would side with them here. I think going back home after an emotional loss like that helps. They're 19th in pressure percentage on defense. I think if they get pressure on Jalen Daniels, I mean, he's proven that he's pretty crappy when he's not pressured. He's even worse when he is pressured. So I think they can get pressure on him. That'll help. I'm with you. I'm not 100% sold in the run defense because, again, haven't really seen a team that runs the ball since week 1. So, like, what are you really learning there? And Kansas on the other side did a pretty good job against UNLV, which is a very similar offense to West Virginia. Obviously, UNLV runs some kinks in there that are a little different. It's a little weirder, but they have a quarterback that can run, and they run the ball almost all of the time. It's a lot of what West Virginia is going to do. So, I mean, they are equipped to stop it. But I think on the road here, I think Jalen Daniels, if you're betting on him to not make the mistake, I don't think he's going to. I think he's going to make that mistake. Pressured on the road. Morgantown's a tough place to play where they need the win desperately to keep their season alive now. Yeah, I like West Virginia.
Can you sing Country Roads, please?
He does sing that. He loves that song.
It's one of my ringtones.
Wow, that's really cool. That's super cool.
That was like welcome to 1992 or whatever it is.
Jesus Christ.
All right, next game. Andy wasn't even born in '92, man.
The best thing about AJ producing, by the way, is watching him place bets live.
I know. He's if at least you don't know, we can see Prop Beaver's computer screen, and he's in there placing bets live.
Yeah, I was watching. I was like, that's a good bet, man.
He's placing NFL props while we're doing it.
Jamar Chase over 75 and a half receiving yards. That's a great number on Fanatics, by the way.
All right. Next up, Rice Army, and I'm almost embarrassed to tell you guys what I did. Rice wins outright. I mean, what are we doing here? But look, I know Rice looks absolutely terrible, but before the season, I would have laid 7 with Rice on the road here. And what has Army done to show you they could stop any sort of passing attack? I mean, EJ Warner, Rice has got weapons. There's just no way. Army's not good. They're not a good football team. FAU handed them a win, and FAU isn't even good. Before that, they played Lehigh. I think this Army team's bad. So, yeah, I think Rice wins outright. I'm embarrassed to say it. I'm a little ashamed. So, I actually have Rice plus 7, and I have the money line here.
Yeah, no, I'm not touching Rice. I'm not touching this game. Army being a 7-point favorite is wild. I'd lean Rice just because it's hard seeing Army as a touchdown favorite to anyone. I mean, it does make sense since Rice is literally in the bottom 20 in offense and defense, but I don't know. This team has worse metrics than a lot of the top FCS teams, but I think Rice can bounce back. I'm not touching this game.
I'm with you. I like Rice. Clash of styles here. These teams play. If you could get more opposite, they're opposite. Rice loves to throw the ball. Army, obviously, as we know, they don't really know how to throw the ball. And you're right. They haven't proven anything. They've beaten Lehigh. That was an ugly game. They won 38-0, 31-0, something like that. And then they beat FAU. Good for you. FAU sucks. So yeah, Rice needs this bad. I mean, they've been about as complete opposite of what we expected as anybody in the country right now. Yeah. So I think they'll be better. They have to be better. They know they have to be better. I think they win this game. Army hasn't proven anything at all, and now they're a touchdown favorite against a team that we expect to be pretty good.
You guys are wild.
We're wild.
Wild.
You're getting wild and crazy. Yep.
All right, let's move on to the next game, which is Virginia at Coastal. Andy, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first here. I don't buy Coastal Carolina at all. I don't understand it. Their effective rush on defense is complete opposite of what I'd expect. They are playing teams that don't run the ball well, and their number's 19th in the country. Like I don't know, whatever. I don't think this team's particularly good. And Virginia, I give them credit. They've played a pretty tough schedule compared to other teams. I mean, Richmond's one of the best teams in the FCS. Maryland was a tough game. They did lose that one. And they played Wake Forest on the road, which wasn't an easy one. They won that one. Played a tougher schedule than a lot of teams in the country. Coastal Carolina's played nobody. Jacksonville State, William, and Mary. Those are 2 of their 3 games. They are not this is not a proven team at all, not a good team. And I know this game's in Coastal. Doesn't do much for me. These teams play very close to each other. Like I don't see it. Calandria has been really good throwing the ball. Coastal hasn't faced a quarterback like him yet.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I think.
I'm a little mad at Calandria because I had his passing prop, and he was going to hit it. He had 247 going into the last drive, and they do three straight incompletions. Didn't have a completion in the last 10 minutes of the game. That's ridiculous. But I think he'll throw all over this defense today. Like I said, they're not tested like this. I got Virginia. I really think they'll win this thing by a touchdown.
Well, the thing is, I can't lay the 3.5. With the way I would do this, Prop Beaver, instead of putting minus 3.5, for me, it comes down to whether or not you trust Vasco, the quarterback for Coastal. Either Virginia team total over 27.5 or over 53. If you trust Vasco to make plays on Coastal, then take over 53. If you don't, take Virginia team total over. Because like Andy said, Coastal's defenses look okay. They haven't seen a single quarterback that can throw the football yet, and Calandria is going to test that secondary. This is a secondary that lost its 2 best players from last year. So far, they've seen Temple, William and Mary, and Jacksonville State. Who's the best quarterback they've seen so far? Logan Smothers? That might be the best quarterback Coastal has seen so far this year. Calandria is a huge step up in class. So I think Calandria is going to cook on this Coastal secondary. Dude, this is a kid just went on the road to Wake Forest, threw for 357 and 3 touchdowns. Now he also threw 2 picks. He's an absolute gunslinger. He's a gunslinger. But yeah, he's going to test this Coastal secondary, and I think they're going to put up some points. On the other side of the ball, Coastal's been running it, and doesn't surprise me. I said going into the season that I thought Coastal would be able to run the ball. I took Coastal over Jacksonville State in the opener because I thought they'd be able to run the ball. But look, this Virginia defense, not really known as a defensive program, should be much better on the defensive front than last year. They brought back their best 2 defensive linemen. 2 of their linebackers are back, and they brought in the main linebacker from Cincinnati too. So that defensive front should actually be pretty solid this year. They're currently sitting at 42nd in the country in yards per carry allowed. They just got beat by Maryland last week. They only allowed 3.5 yards per carry. So I don't know if Coastal's necessarily going to be able to run the ball in Virginia. It just comes down to Vasco. If you think Vasco is that guy, the quarterback for Coastal, if you think he's able to exploit a questionable Virginia secondary, take the over. If not, take Virginia or the Virginia team total over.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite bets, actually. This Coastal Carolina, this was a team that disappointed me the most last week. They did let a terrible Temple team stay in late, which is really embarrassing. Calandria did what I thought he would against Maryland. Can't play against decent defenses. He had 2 picks and a fumble. But what did Andy call DJ Ugalagala, small game merchant? Yeah, Calandria is actually becoming that, I think. Against teams with the same skill level, or let's say the Sun Belt, he can ball. And this defense is actually pretty good. Even though Calandria had the 3 turnovers, that defense shut down Maryland for 0 points in those turnovers, except the 4th one when he gave up some points. But that Maryland game could have definitely gotten far out of reach. This defensive line for Virginia can really get in the backfield too, which is huge. And Coastal Carolina is out their top 3 running backs this game. So
I didn't even know that.
Even if they're running the ball well, I mean, what are you going to trust? Their 4th and 5th backups right now against a great defensive line. So, I mean, Coastal's offense is going to get hit by this Virginia team. Coastal has a pretty good passing defense, but Virginia's 20th in passing offense, and Coastal, like you guys said, hasn't seen a passing attack like Virginia yet. So, yeah, I'm going to take Calandria here. Small game merchant. Let's do it.
Small game merchant. All right, I might add this. I might add this game. I didn't even know that they were down RBs like that, Scoop. All right, next game.
It's not technically a sweep, I guess.
What's the next game?
Oh, this is Utah State Temple. We're going to make this one quick.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to go piss. I have nothing to say about this shit.
All right, I'll talk this one. Yeah, so I have Temple team total under 22.5. I have a graphic for that too. This one's pretty simple. I'm just fading Temple. This offense is god awful. I mean, the team overall is god awful, and I want to give credit to Utah State. They're pretty tested. They faced Miller Moss already this year. The secondary's tested, and that's all Temple wants to do. All Temple wants to do is throw the ball. They are 40th in pass frequency, which is pretty which means you want to throw, obviously. And Forrest Brock is awful. He ain't Miller Moss. I know Miller Moss tore him to shreds, but still, they are tested in this. Unlike like we just said about Coastal, they're not tested. Utah State's seen good quarterbacks this year, so clearly they're prepared for this pass attack, if you even want to call it that, for Temple. So yeah, I got Temple team total under 22.5. I don't know if I'd lay the 6.5. I think that it'll probably be a close game because both offenses are awful. I think the under would probably be a play. Granted, both defenses are pretty shit too, but again, I would take bad offenses means you're just not going to score. So yeah, Temple team total under 22.5.
Yeah. Kyle drinks like a gallon of water every day, so it's like right when he wakes up. So that's probably why he gets the piss. But of course, the time I fade Temple, they only lost by 8 and covered the spread. Listen, both of these teams are pretty god awful, but Temple's worse. Temple's pass defense is the best part of their game. They didn't really allow Vasco to do anything, but this Temple team's really sloppy. They had 2 turnovers. They have lapse in judgment, especially from the linebackers if you watch their games. And Utah State's actually has a semi-decent line to run the ball. So I would take Utah State. And I mean, really, Utah State didn't play that bad against Utah. They were only down at 3 at half, and they were up 14-3 earlier in that game. I know Cam Rising was hurt, but Utah's still a strong team without him. And they're going to be tougher than Temple, even though this game's at Financial Field where a whole 1,500 fans will show up for the game. So,
all right. I have nothing to say about this game. Next.
You like this one?
Yeah, UCLA, LSU, I do. But I don't even have a ton to say about it. It's pretty simple here. I mean, UCLA, this program's in shambles, man. This offense is broken. They can't do anything. Have you guys seen Hawaii this year? Hawaii was struggling to make stops against Delaware State, which honestly Delaware State could be beaten by some really good high school teams. Hawaii was struggling to make stops. They were able to make stops against UCLA. Look, Ethan Garbers doesn't look good at quarterback, and I think this LSU team, this is the ultimate buy low. I think the fact that I got this at 21 is crazy. I'm on LSU minus the points, AJ. I think the fact that I got this at 21 in LSU is crazy. I know everyone's a little bit down on LSU, especially since South Carolina put up a bunch of points in the first half against them. No question, the defense has looked a little shaky, but from what I'm reading, they made some adjustments, and they're actually putting some new pieces on the field. And look, in the second half, that LSU defense stepped up. They were down big. They came back, got the win. And let's be honest. The South Carolina team, they kind of got thrown into the mix with like Mississippi State and Vanderbilt. Well, Vanderbilt's actually looking up, but they got thrown into the mix as like, oh, the trash of the SEC. That South Carolina team might be better than we think. I actually think that's a pretty solid team. Keep in mind, the team is 21st in talent composite. They have like 34 four-star recruits on the roster. So like South Carolina is pretty good. And they still came back and won that game on the road in Columbia. So, dude, UCLA is I don't trust the coaching staff. I don't think the roster's very good. I don't think the quarterback's very good. They can't run the ball. LSU by 40. Dead ass. LSU by 40.
Yeah, I agree. I don't have much to say. I'll just say Garrett Nussmeier is third in passer rating against man, and UCLA runs pretty much exclusively man. I mean, I really don't see why people are betting UCLA. Starting to buy in on 9 Indiana a little bit. They're a good team, but they're not LSU,
Stop,
dude. I mean,
9 Indiana.
9 Indiana might actually be a thing this year, but
they have an easy schedule.
Yeah, they have an easy schedule. But LSU, I mean, let's be fair, they're one of the best rosters in the country. They've just had some coaching issues. I mean, he's been pretty bad coaching. They still came back and won that game when they probably shouldn't have. So, although they did need a backup quarterback in that one. But to be fair, Ethan Garbers is a glorified backup at this point, too. He's not doing anything. So, yeah, LSU should win this game by a lot. It's kind of similar to the Wake Forest Ole Miss game last week. Remember, we were like, why are people betting on Wake? They're going to get their asses handed to them. And they did get their asses handed to them. So, maybe
and the number still got bought down. Yeah, what Andy's referring to is their sharp money coming in maybe earlier in the week, but they bought this number down to 21. So professionals out there are betting on UCLA. And what he's saying is the same thing happened with Wake Forest last week, and Ole Miss still kicked their doors in. So yeah, LSU big. Scoopy, you in agreement?
Yeah, I mean LSU's defense has been garbage so far. I've seen enough to know that. But if they're completely garbage against UCLA, then we're going to have real problems in Baton Rouge. I mean, UCLA's schedule's tough. First time in the Big Ten, traveling to Hawaii, flying to Louisiana now to play one of the toughest places isn't going to be easy at all. It looks like this got a little too much though. In terms of points, 20.5 when it opened is a solid number to take. I know this was 24.5, which would have been a little rough.
It got up to 24.5.
But I mean, LSU, they don't have really that much of a rushing game right now, so they're putting it all on Nussmeier. I don't think that's going to work out too much, but this game should be an absolute blowout. If they did go down 17 to South Carolina, they would have used Durham more. I think they should use Durham more here. I know these teams combined, they're 0-5 against the spread. Someone's going to win. I would take LSU. The talent gap here is massive, so if they put things together like they should, it should be a blowout. I mean, trusting Garbers isn't something I'm into doing. I try anything once, but Garber is my limit. So,
all right, next game. Next game is Miami of Ohio at Notre Dame, and I really don't have much to say here. I trust Brad Thomas. We had him on the show this week, and he likes Notre Dame. He bet it in a weird way, too. I like the way he bet it. He bet. So he came on the show. He said he's taking Miami of Ohio team total under 7.5 and Notre Dame team total over 34.5. So instead of laying the points, he took Miami Ohio team total under and Notre Dame team total over, which I thought was interesting. Basically, my thoughts on this game are as followed. Brett Gabbert, I don't know what happened, but I actually thought Miami of Ohio's offense would be somewhat decent. And I don't mean good. I mean, I thought they would be somewhat competitive sometimes. Looks terrible. They look to be, 1.1 yards per carry against Cincinnati last week. 1.1 yards per carry against Cincinnati.
1.4 this year.
Yeah, I mean, I can't bet Miami of Ohio. They do have a good defense that, like I said earlier, they brought back their 2 all-conference linebackers. So Miami, Ohio does have a defense, but it's freaking Notre Dame in South Bend, and it's Notre Dame that already got upset, already got caught napping. They probably should beat the brakes off of Miami of Ohio. So if I was to bet this game, it would be Notre Dame minus the points. AJ, prop beaver.
Yeah, I did bet this. I think Notre Dame's going to absolutely roll. I don't think Miami can do anything offensively. Miami's team total now is under 7.5, so I would lean that too, but it's taxed to Bolivia at minus 150. So, I mean, this Miami offense is just so bad right now. Their passing game's okay. They're 51st in yards per pass, but they can't run the ball. So, I mean, Notre Dame's 4th in the country in defensive rating. They're, teams are better running against them than throwing, but this Miami team's just gonna throw the ball. And like I said before, they have a 1.4 yards per carry. So Notre Dame is just gonna focus on the passing game. No one's moving. I mean, they're not even moving the ball against Cincy Northwestern. They're not going to move the ball against Notre Dame. So, and Miami has a better pass defense, but I think Notre Dame's is just going to pound the ball here. Miami's defensive line is ranked in the bottom 5 for rush defense. Notre Dame's going to absolutely blow them out.
Andy, I mean, I'm assuming you don't have much more to add.
Yeah, I agree. The only thing I'd add is what he just said. They're going to want to run the ball with Riley Leonard. We saw Mike Wright week 1, Northwestern, ran all over.
Bench.
Miami of Ohio at quarterback. So, yeah, that was 7.2 yards per carry. I think he had in that one. I would think Riley Leonard's going to do something similar. Notre Dame had they beat the crap out of a Big Ten team last week on the road. I mean, I don't see them struggling here. I know Purdue's a bad Big Ten team, but I don't see them.
Purdue's going to win tonight, bro. We'll get to that one. No. Purdue's going to win tonight.
Purdue sucks.
All right, let's go to the next game, man. What's next? Georgia Tech, Louisville. Yeah, all right. Georgia Tech, Louisville. I hate this spot for Georgia Tech, man. So first of all, this Louisville team might be really good. I know everyone's all in on Cam Ward in Miami. There's Clemson out there, right? Florida State's a goner. Louisville needs to start being mentioned in this ACC conversation. I think they're better than last year's Louisville team who played in the ACC championship game. I think they're better. I think Tyler Shuck is an upgrade from Jack Plummer. I'm not sure how people liked Jack Plummer last year. I'd like to speak to those people. I didn't even think Jack Plummer was very good, and I think Tyler Shuck is an upgrade at quarterback. And like I said, this isn't really you put Louisville minus 10. This is the way I'd go. This is one of the ones that I like but didn't bet. If this was the last week or the week before that, this would have been one of the ones I added, but I kept it a little conservative this week. But I think Louisville wins comfortably here. Georgia Tech's offense has looked good, no doubt. But like I said, this is a crazy spot. I mean, you got Louisville coming off a bye week, playing their 3rd game of the season. Georgia Tech's been playing nonstop football since the start. Remember, they played in week 0 against Florida State in Scotland or Ireland or somewhere over there. They played week 0. Whatever. One is this. You know what I'm saying? They played week 0 overseas. They have played nonstop. This is their 5th football game already for Georgia Tech. Louisville, this is their 3rd game, and they're coming off a bye week. This is a super rested Louisville that's coming in. Look, we saw how Kyle McCord looked last night. He was piecing Georgia Tech's defense up. I don't know if Georgia Tech's defense makes a single stop, and maybe they come out with some energy in the first half, but as this game progresses, Louisville should slowly grind that run game into the ground. And also, you guys know I'm big on this Georgia Tech offense. I think they're talented. I took them against Florida State in that week 0 game. What was Haynes King problem last year? Interceptions. He threw 16 of them last season. We haven't really seen it yet. I think they're coming today. I think we see 2 Haynes King interceptions. Louisville comfortably.
Yeah, I mean, the first time I backed Georgia Tech 2 weeks ago against Syracuse, so that was my fault. But I just love this Louisville team since last year. I think their offense is going to absolutely crush Georgia Tech. Obviously, Louisville hasn't had any real competition yet. Really, this team hasn't had to do anything offensively. But Tyler Shell's a great quarterback. Right now, he has 6 touchdowns. Plus, this running game, Isaac and Kwan Brown, Duke Watson, they all have 8.5 yards rushing per carry. So, plus this Louisville pass rush is going to get the Haynes King. It's going to be the toughest defense he's faced, the toughest line they face. I know Georgia's Tech's line has been really solid. I mean, they haven't given up a sack yet, but I think this the Louisville run game is going to be a little too strong here. And you saw how Georgia Tech did against, I was going to say great passer in McCourt from Syracuse, but I mean, you saw yesterday he was garbage. But yeah, if McCourt can light him up, I definitely think Tyler Schaub's going to light him up. So I'm going to take Louisville.
What do you think, Bones Jones?
Yeah, I would lean Louisville. I don't have much to say. Louisville, like you said, I don't know much. We don't know much about them because they haven't played anybody really good. They played Austin P and Jacksonville State. Like, good for you, cool. And Georgia Tech just coming off killing VMI. So like somebody just said in the comments, I'm not sure how much of a game that is. But
it's not a game though.
Yeah, it is a game. You're right, and they had to travel here, so that's definitely something. So yeah, Louisville probably gonna be one of the better teams in the ACC. I would say they're probably the second best team in the ACC right now.
Who's the best?
Miami.
You mean the team that's about to lose later?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I would just lean Louisville. I think it'll be a shootout though. I do think that Georgia Tech, Haynes King's gonna make mistakes. Don't like we know that. But
2
I think
interceptions.
So I think it'll be a high scoring game. Yeah.
He thinks it'll be high scoring. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Let's go to the next game. Prop Beaver. Are you?
No, it's not.
No, not yet.
Oh,
Not yet.
Man.
One more.
Oh, I'm out of order. What's next?
Touchdown.
Oh, Arkansas. Oh, okay. This one I think is interesting, and this is another one that I almost pulled the trigger on last night. I think Auburn.
I did.
Wait, you go first then.
I love Auburn here.
Me too.
Take everything about Auburn's offense since Peyton Thorne got benched and just throw it out because it's Hank Brown season now. Arkansas looked disappointing for most of that game against UAB. They were tied at half, and Taylor Green looks fucking terrible. Jaquin and Jackson maybe this whole offense, and maybe when Taylor Green tucks it and runs because, I mean, they have a chance because throwing the ball with Taylor Green is like DJU-esque. So Auburn's actually great at stopping the run. It's a strength of that defense. So if they shut down Jackson, this is going to be a long game for Arkansas. Plus Arkansas just generates no pass rush. So Hank Brown's going to have a ton of time. I know he's a freshman. I know he looks like he's 13 years old, but Hugh Freeze isn't going to throw him to the wolves here. I think it'll be a solid, balanced game from Auburn. In the middle of the field, we'll open up crossing routes against Arkansas, and in the flats, they're terrible at defending them. And really, Auburn, they may have struggled to stop the pass, but again, let me reiterate that Taylor Green is a bad quarterback. So Hunter, Alston, Cobb, they're going to keep getting carries. And plus, I'm just more confident in Auburn here at home, laying less than a field goal. I'm definitely on Auburn here.
He's on Auburn. And yeah, I'm on the same side. I didn't bet it though. This is one that I almost bet. The reason being, I kind of for a few of the same reasons that Scoop said, but I don't think people realize that in that Auburn Cal game that they lost, Auburn turned the ball over 5 times. They turned the ball. They had a -5 turnover margin in the game, right? But check this out. They turned the ball over 5 times and still only allowed 330 yards and 21 points. Bro, that's a defensive showing right there. Because if you're familiar with football, the turnovers, it's not just about the field position and all that. The momentum swings. If you turn the ball over 5 times and force no turnovers, you're basically throwing your defense to the wolves. So to turn the ball over 5 times and still only allow 330 yards in the game, Auburn defense was a fit Auburn for me.
Oh, as well.
Yeah, Auburn's defense, that was a showing right there. And look, I know everyone watched that Arkansas-Oklahoma State game. Everyone loved it. The shootout. Taylor Green did make some plays. He looked good in that game. But if I'm being honest, maybe I'm a little bit impartial here. I can't unsee what I saw from Taylor Green last year at Boise State. And I was on record early in the season being like, guys, look out, Taylor Green. He's gonna make some noise this year with Boise. He lost me several bets last year, and I probably watched 4 or 5 Boise State games start to finish last year. I don't like Scoop said. I don't think he's very good, Taylor Green. I know that he's an athlete. He's talented. He's capable of making plays. He's also capable of making really bad mistakes. And I think Auburn's a much stronger team here at home, less than a field goal. I also think Arkansas's run defense might be overrated a bit. They shut down Ollie.
I think so too.
They shut down Ollie Gordon, right? And we were like, oh shit! But then
Ollie Gordon hasn't done anything.
And then Tulsa shut down Ollie Gordon. And we're like, oh wait, never mind. Maybe the Oklahoma State run game's having some problems. So yeah, I think Auburn's the bet here. I couldn't actually pull the trigger on it, but I do think they win by a touchdown or more.
Arkansas money line. I have 2 bets in this night. I got Arkansas money line. I
Hold
didn't
on. So now you're in on Sam Pittman.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh my
Me and
God.
Sam have been close forever.
You hate Sam Pittman.
Yeah,
Big
so I
pick
don't
guy.
have a graphic for the Arkansas money line because I bet it after I had sent the picks. But yeah, Arkansas money line, and I have a prop in this one, but I'll get to that last.
So 0-2 basically. Right.
Yeah, Hank. What an asshole. Hank Brown. We don't know much about him, but he didn't look like overly impressive right against New Mexico. Right, that is what it is. I'm more worried about Auburn's run defense. Has not proven anything to me. I'll be clear about that. They played Alabama A&M, right? Whatever. And New Mexico, another team who's not very good. We saw them week 1. They embarrassed themselves and a loss to Montana State when they were blowing them out. But then that Cal game is what everybody looks at. And you might look at Jaden Ott's stats and you might be like, oh, well, they stopped Ott, right? He got hurt. He got hurt in the middle of the game. He had 10 carries, 11 yards, but he got hurt, right? So he didn't get to play in the second half of the game. When they probably would have been running with him. So that was fortunate. They've got lucky in terms of what they faced run defense-wise. So they haven't proven anything. And that's where my prop comes in. Quinton Jackson's got 6 touchdowns this year. He's gone crazy. I have him anytime touchdown parlayed with Travis Hunter because, man, I tried to get like a good anytime touchdown. These college anytime touchdown props suck, man. These odds suck on these because they expect so many touchdowns to be scored. But, yeah, I think he's going to run one in. And I think Arkansas is going to win the game. I know Taylon Green, it is what it is. He does make mistakes at times, and that Oklahoma State game was a perfect example.
At times?
Yeah,
at times.
I don't think he'll have to throw the ball enough to where they need him here in this one. I think they'll be able to What'd you say?
Nothing. I didn't say anything.
All right, next game.
Is that worthy of the song?
What is
I
it?
don't think it is.
It's a touchdown.
I have an anytime.
Touchdown song.
Play the song.
Anytime, touching it down, scoring it, running around. It's the anytime, touchdown, scoring. Anytime you need touchdown. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, touchdown score Hunter and Jackson anytime touchdowns plus 216.
Wow.
Next game, let's talk RU. Guys, I'm a little biased here, and look, it's not that I'm a diehard.
I went there, so
yeah. Scoop. We're all from New Jersey, by the way. That's where we all are. And it's not that I'm a diehard Rutgers fan or anything like that, but I think this season is huge for us as a state because I don't. For those of you that are down south and maybe even out west, in the Midwest too. Where college football,
we don't have college football.
We don't have college football, and it's not just we have Rutgers, but it's not. No one cares about college football here. Like of my group of friends from high school and my friends around my hometown and all that. Like of my 12 closest friends, maybe one of them likes college football. But this year, with all the hype surrounding Rutgers, people think Rutgers can. People are saying Rutgers can win 8-9 games. Couple of my friends are getting into it. They're like, hey, man, Rutgers. And I just think it's awesome for my community if Rutgers wins this game and goes 4-0 or whatever, 2-0 or 3-0 into the big Washington game on Fox. I think Piscataway will be jumping next Friday night if Rutgers pulls this upset. So put RU up for me. Obviously, none of us are even allowed to bet this game. We're in New Jersey, so we can't even do it. But in all seriousness, Rutgers has a really strong defense, and let's be honest, Virginia Tech isn't living up to the hype. They do not look nearly as good as they were hyped up to be entering the season. Does Rutgers have a quarterback? Absolutely not. But I'm a believer in Callie McManus. I think he can make some plays here and there. Basically, I think 3.5 is too many here. Rutgers is going to play good defense. They're going to run the football. Virginia Tech, yeah, we trust Kyron Jones to make plays with his legs. Not that proven as a passer. And if you want to get into a run game versus run game battle with Rutgers, you don't want to be laying more than a field goal in a game like that. So this is the side I would be on. I'm rooting for Rutgers. Obviously, I'm not allowed to bet it.
Yeah, I was a Rutgers fan ever since the first college football game where Rutgers beat Princeton 6-4.
In 1875.
We were the first football game ever. Yeah, so none of us three can bet this game, but I would lean the over here. I think it's too low of a number. Rutgers has a very strong run game with one guy averaging 8.1 yards per game. He's easily the best weapon on this team. He's going to get over 100 yards, and Rutgers has been using pretty good formations to get him in running room, but the offensive line has also been great so far, given it was against Akron and Howard. But I think this can translate to a struggling Virginia Tech team defending the run. The Greek freak at quarterback isn't great at quarterback. Trust me on this. If you've seen him mess up or throw the ball against solid teams. But I don't think he needs to be great here. This same Rutgers team beat Virginia Tech last year, and that's Gavin Wimsatt for Rutgers, and he had 46 yards. They still won by 19. Virginia Tech can't defend the run for shit. They lost this game last year in New Jersey, Virginia Tech, so this may be some payback here too. So I'm not grabbing the points. I'm not taking Rutgers because Rutgers defense isn't that great. I think Jones should make some big plays, and Rutgers hasn't faced a team that has an offense like Virginia Tech yet. So, but I think this is going to be an over game. I think this is going to be in the 50s.
This is a tricky place to play. Virginia Tech, we all know it's
Tricky. Tricky.
much tougher at night, but obviously it's not an easy place to play here. I hope I'm wrong here because I do want that game on Friday to mean a lot, but I think Virginia Tech's going to get this one. I will give Rutgers credit, right? Kyle Monongai's been the best running back in the Big Ten, and he probably will be the best running back in the Big Ten this year. But let's give their run defense a little hate here. Akron ran for 6 yards at carry.
Oh, Akron? Oh, they shut down Akron, guys. Never mind. They shut down Akron.
What are you talking about? Whoa. Let me speak here. I was saying Rutgers defense got ran all over by Akron.
Oh.
All over. Dude.
I was going to say, I don't even remember Virginia.
You just hate New Jersey. Just get out of the state.
I don't hate New Jersey. I don't hate anybody.
We're spending too much time in a game none of us are allowed to bet.
That's
I don't
true.
like it.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I think Virginia Tech's going to win this one. But could you imagine if they lose? They'd have losses to Rutgers and Vanderbilt. That would be quite an L of a season for a team we expected to maybe win the big ACC.
Go Knights.
Okay.
All right, let's go on to the next game. What is next? Arizona State, Texas Tech. Do I have that right?
Yes.
Hmm?
Yeah.
51. I'm typing the time code simultaneously so I can put that at the end. Sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
No, Arizona State, Texas Tech. I'll be quick. Same thing happened last week. I missed the number again with Texas Tech. I know everyone was taking North Texas last week, and I like Texas Tech, but I was like, you know what? I'll wait it out. Everyone's taking North Texas. Maybe I can get like a 7. Nope, went up to 10.5. So I missed the number last week with Texas Tech, and the same exact thing happened this week. I looked at it. It was 2.5. I like Texas Tech, and I thought, hey, you know what? Everyone's going to be betting Arizona State here. I bet I can get a pick. Nope, it's now 3.5. So back-to-back weeks, I predicted the market move incorrectly here with this Texas Tech team. I think they win comfortably. I think they're the much better team here. I think everyone jumped onto the Scatterboo train really early, and people are kind of leaving out the fact that take away the run game, Sam Leavitt as a passer, good luck with that. I mean, we saw Texas State take Scatterboo out of the game, and look, Arizona State ended up winning, but it was a nail-biter. It came down to the end. In fact, if Texas State doesn't fumble the ball in their own territory late there, Arizona State probably loses that game. And this isn't Texas State. This is Texas Tech and Lubbock. This is a whole new level of talent. See, I'm not going to bet the 3.5, even though I do think they win by a touchdown or more. I think Texas Tech is the move here. And look, we're polling on Arizona State. Everyone's going to be betting Arizona State. I like Texas Tech.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I'm 0-3 against Arizona State this year, but I think I bet against them each week. This time, I think this is the biggest test for them in terms of their secondary can get tested here. I do like Jordan McLeod, but I think Texas State's not obviously Texas Tech on the road. Lubbock is a tough place to play, and if you get into a shootout, which I think this is going to be a shootout, you need a quarterback who's going to back that up, and I don't think Sam Leavitt's got that in his arsenal here. I think this is going to be a lot like, I mean, I guess we talked about it last week. We thought Chandler Morris would be in that situation, thought maybe it'd be a shootout. Obviously, Texas Tech pretty much covered that over by itself. This game probably goes over just like that shootout. I don't think ASU has that arsenal, has that type of offense to do that because they run the ball a lot. You can't run in a shootout when the other team's scoring like this, and they're not going to stop what has been a really good Texas Tech offense.
Yeah, I'm also 0-3 betting Arizona State. I pick them every game, against them every game. I'm still going to pick against them here. It's going to be their toughest test on the, so far on the defensive side of the ball, even though Texas Tech isn't a great defense. But Baron Morton has been really solid through 3 games. It's mostly because their offensive line is protecting him well. That won't be great against an Arizona State line who has a difficult time getting to the quarterback. Morton is a way better quarterback than Leavitt, and Leavitt has a problem throwing into zone coverage. Yeah, I don't know. Tech runs a zone more than man-to-man, and Leavitt's in the bottom 20 throwing into a zone. I'm not saying Tech's good at defending at all, but I think it's going to be difficult for Leavitt here. I don't think they're going to run the ball enough with Scadaboo, and I'm going to grab the better quarterback at home and lay the points.
All right, next game. Which is Memphis Navy. I've seen a lot of people taking Navy here. I think the sharps are on Navy. I'm good. I do get the logic in fading Memphis coming off the big win, right, over Florida State. But I mean, how big of an accomplishment is it to beat Florida State these days? I mean, I put it on the same level as beating Grambling State. No, I'm good. I don't have anything to say here. I'm not betting this.
Yeah, Memphis stand up, I guess. Yeah, I'm not sure about this game. Memphis is due for a letdown, to be honest. They have a great rush defense. They're not giving up chunk plays. But I'm always wary about a defense playing against a triple option when they haven't seen it. Navy has one of the best offensive lines in terms of metrics, but obviously because they're running a triple option. But yeah, Hennigan will probably throw it a ton here, but I'm not comfortable betting either side.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think Memphis will probably be used in a lot of parlays today because this number kind of isn't. It's kind of much lower than I expected it to be. I thought it'd be 2 touchdowns or something like that, especially coming off beating Florida State. But it is a popular letdown spot for a lot of people. But again, this Memphis team don't usually play down to their competition. They usually blow a lot of teams out. So coming off a win like that, maybe they change course. But I'm not going to even worry about it. I'm not going to bet on that one.
All right, we don't need to spend any more time on this one. Let's just skip it over to the next
I
one.
like this game.
All right, go first.
Nice SEC game here. Yeah, Vanderbilt has reverted back to what they were. They lost to Georgia State last night. This team stinks. This is good old Vanderbilt. They got you hyped up and they did exactly what.
This is not the same old Vanderbilt.
Same old started.
Nah, it's Pavia, man.
They lost. If you don't know what I'm talking about, they lost to Georgia State last week after starting the season so hot. They did
so hot.
So hot.
If you've watched the SEC East over the years, which I don't think there's a person on the planet that's watched more than me, this is a good old SEC East matchup that it's probably going to be a blowout. Let's be fair. All right, this Missouri team played down to what I expected last week, although some things went wrong in that game that got Boston College closer. But again, Missouri didn't cover. They didn't look as good as I thought they would, but their running backs did. Their running back had over 5 yards to carry. Brady Cook ran in for a touchdown. They were running the ball really well. It was Brady Cook not throwing the ball. I think they're going to be able to run all over Vanderbilt here. Everybody always runs all over Vanderbilt, but this is going to be a game where I believe the name's Noel is his last name. I don't want to mess with his name, but yeah, he ran all over BC. BC's a better defense than Vanderbilt, and Vanderbilt is, like I said, I just think this is what I expect from Vanderbilt is always quite low. But coming off a loss to Georgia State, now you have to go to Missouri, who's feeling really good about themselves right now. Missouri could be a sneaky team to make the playoffs. Their schedule is really easy. They just can't trip up, right? And this is not a game where they're going to trip up. This is good old Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you here. I think Missouri beats the absolute life out of them. And last week, look, that was Missouri's base. It was basically their first game of the season. They played nobody up until that point. They hadn't allowed a single point in the first 2 games because they hadn't played anybody. So last week, that Boston College game, that was Missouri's pretty much their first game of the season. And then if you actually watch that game, Boston College jumped out to a 14-3 lead. They basically just got caught napping in the first quarter and a half. From that point on, they dominated the game. I mean, the Boston College jumped out to a 14-3 lead. From that point on, I think the final score of the game was like 24-6 or something. So Missouri dominated the game after Boston College put a couple touchdowns up early. So, look, there was theoretically their first real game of the season, and they came out a little flat. this is a conference game. I don't think they're coming out flat. I think this is Mizzou start to finish absolute blowout. Personally,
no, you guys are wrong. Vanderbilt. What happened to Missouri last week when you said it was going to be a blowout, Andy? What happened in that game?
We just
told you, dude. It was 24.
Doesn't matter. It wasn't a blowout. It wasn't a blowout. They're going to come out slow again. Their drives take up so much clock. Dude, they're scoring in like 9-minute possessions. So Vanderbilt has a chance to stay in this game if Pavia plays a good game. I know they came down to earth against Georgia State as 8.5-point favorites. They lost outright. And that second half, their defense just fell apart. With Missouri, like I said, Castellanos can find some holes there. He threw 2 big picks in the game, but I still really like Pavia. I know this is Missouri's 4th straight home game, and Vanderbilt's defense is banged up. And the way Missouri's dominant on both lines, it's going to be hard for Vanderbilt. But, yeah, even though Vanderbilt lost that Georgia State game, they can still get a big play. And Missouri's very penalty-prone. They're 116th in penalties. They're constantly giving free plays. Yeah. And that's against shit teams. So, I mean, Missouri has been dealing with dual threats pretty much all year so far, but I think Pavia is a tougher quarterback, a better runner than Castellanos. So I'm going to take Vanderbilt in the points.
Pavia is not a better runner than Castellanos.
No, yes, he is.
Not.
Yes, he is.
Dude, Castellanos
didn't run at all last game. He ran against Missouri. All right, let's take a prop bet. Who will have more yards rushing, Pavia or Castellanos on this game?
Folks in the comments are saying it's down to 18.
Yeah, this is going down heavily. And I don't know what people.
I didn't bet it,
but
that's because they're smart.
One last thing to mention. BC last week ran for 1.9 yards per carry. Vanderbilt is 24th in run frequency. So that shows they're gonna want to run. Missouri's stopping the run. So I think it's just terrible.
Not gonna stop Pavia.
All right. Okay. Team for them.
Okay. Next game.
Okay.
Let's skip over to the next game because I actually am really curious where the community poll is going to be on this one because I think South Florida is a very popular upset pick here. I think I don't have a bet on this one. I think that's the only way I'd go here is South Florida plus I think it's down to 16.5 now. If you can get a 17, maybe South Florida plus 17. Look, we've seen teams. I mean, we just saw Alabama last year come on the road to Raymond James and struggle to score points. I mean, this Miami team, we crowned them pretty early, right? They beat the shit out of Florida in the swamp in the opener, and we're like, guys, Miami, this Cam Ward, this team's for real. Now we're seeing what this Florida team is, and all of a sudden the resume doesn't look as good, right? I mean, other than that game, they haven't really done shit. They haven't played anybody. So, I mean, I don't know. This is the way I would go. I'm not placing a bet. I feel like there's a lot of people taking South Florida here.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab the Bulls too. I mean, I really love Miami. Like I said earlier, I think they have a great chance to win the ACC and probably be a top 4 seed when it's all done. But I think this line's a little bit disrespectful to South Florida here. I mean, South Florida's going to push the pace all game here and keep it on the ground most of the game. Joyner, right? Evan Brown can take off and scramble. They had 370 yards on the ground last game. Yeah, it was against Southern Miss, but they are capable of pushing it on the ground. And I know Miami's an explosive team. I'm not taking away anything from them, but South Florida's defensive line is actually really impressive so far. They're 3rd in stuff rate, 3rd in pressuring the quarterback, 28th in sack percentage, and these numbers include the Alabama game when there was a 1-score game in the 4th. So South Florida is a really big physical team. I think it can give Miami problems. Plus, Miami's coming off 2 cupcake wins, or 3 if you count Florida, because Florida's terrible too. But so they may come out a little flat here. I mean, they're playing against a good run defense here, and actually just a good defensive line in general. So I would take the points.
There's been no bigger supporter of South Florida this year. I have them to win the AAC. That's what
you're taking Miami.
Yeah, I'm taking Miami. I think that part of the reason they covered against Alabama, the 31 they covered, A, I thought that line was crazy, but B, they made
hold on. There's someone put up a super chat to give his South Florida.
I respect it.
Yeah, I respect that. Not only is he taking South Florida money line, he wanted everyone to know. He declared he stood on the podium and he shouted it from the mountaintops. South Florida money line. I like that.
Plus 550.
Write that name down. EBD 321. We got to give him a shout out if that wins.
Plus 550.
Yeah, I think part of the reason they covered against Bama and kept it close for so long, Bama had 3 turnovers in the red zone. I mean, they were knocking on the door, but they turned the ball over. I think Miami's going to do that. I think they're more disciplined with the ball. Cam Ward does throw interceptions, but he doesn't fumble much, and that's a lot of what Alabama struggled with against this team. So, yeah, I don't think it's the same spot. I do think that this is a Miami special. I don't know why this game's being played in South Florida, but good for South Florida for getting the game. But Florida has a history of covering. Brett McMurphy tweeted out that Miami has a history of covering against teams in Florida on the road. So a really cool trend, like 15-4 in their last 19. Thought that was a cool trend that fits this. But yeah, there's no bigger supporter of South Florida, but I think this is a good spot for Miami. I know their resume doesn't look great, but like they are blowing out the bad teams on their schedule. And South Florida doesn't score scores against everybody but Bama, but they don't usually play a team like Miami. So.
All right, let's move on to the next game. Oh, what was the poll on that one?
Miami.
Wow. Okay. All right. Next up, Northwestern Washington, and all right, get the poll up at Stuff Prop Beaver. I have two. I'm between 2 bets on this one. We'll get them up in just a second.
I also have a bet on this one.
All right. Why don't you go first?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Washington couldn't capitalize on their drives in the second half against the last game, and Washington State's defense stepped up. And let's take a minute to just say Washington's defense stepped up, and you saw that San Jose State game. Rogers couldn't capitalize. I'm not sure of a spread here. I can see either side, but I'm leaning the over, even though it's Northwestern. I think Northwestern can have a great day on the ground. Washington's defensive line isn't great, but Porter and Hyman are averaging over 5 yards a carry, and I really think since Northwestern benched Mike Wright, the passing game is going to open up with Lausch. They're going to take open shots down the field. And plus, on the other side, Will Rogers is going to throw against Northwestern. Northwestern definitely has a better rushing defense than passing. So this is definitely a sneaky spot for an over. I'm not on Northwestern 11.5, Beaver. Northwestern is going to take a lot.
Sorry,
it's all right. Northwestern's going to look a lot better on offense than the last time they were on television. I'm very into Mike Wright getting benched. I think this is just going to be a Will Rogers passing game and a Northwestern rushing game. So this should be going over to 42.5.
I disagree. You could put up Washington minus.
I'll give him a shout out. I'm a bum for $10, so thank you.
Oh, am I lying? What did he? Hold on, let me go check. What did he say?
He said I'm a bum. $10. We appreciate it.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, couldn't agree more. Let's just
put that on the.
That's just a man. Oh shit, Doug Lane. Andy is high.
I saw that comment. I mean,
don't listen to Doug Lane. He's an Ohio State fan that got triggered that you didn't say Henderson and Judkins are the best RBs. That being said, you are crazy to say that's not the best RB combo in the Big Ten.
Well, I'm just saying, Monungai's had his career high in rushing each of the first 2 weeks. So, like, statistically, he has been. And I don't know has Ohio State played a game yet? They've played nobody, so I don't even know who they've played. So
I'm just happy that at $10 I can go get a Big Mac meal now. Appreciate that.
All right. Northwestern on the road at Washington. Okay. I think put up either Washington. You know what? Just put up Northwestern team total under. And I didn't bet it, but I think Washington covers this, though, by the way, if you're looking for a pick against the spread. I like this Northwestern defensive front. I mean, I think they have a very underrated defensive line. I've said that a number of times this year. But I don't trust that secondary at all. I think Will Rogers should piece this secondary up badly. The only time Northwestern's seen a quarterback that can throw the ball was the Duke game. And they should have won that game. But you want to know why they didn't? Because their secondary just couldn't stop leaving guys open in the second half, specifically the fourth quarter of that game. And Malik Murphy, I mean, he made some throws. The throws were there to make. And I trust Will Rogers' arm at this point in their careers. I trust Will Rogers' arm more than Malik Murphy's arm right now. Yes, Malik Murphy has a higher ceiling. He's younger. If you give Will Rogers those opportunities that Malik Murphy had in the second half of that game, he's going to put points up. And look, the reason I had Northwestern in that Duke game, the reason I took them was I liked their pass rush to get to Malik Murphy, and they did for a little bit
until the end of the game.
but that was part of me making that prediction was Duke's offensive line. Washington's offensive line has actually played surprisingly well so far. They've given Will Rogers time to throw. So I think Will Rogers is going to put up some points here on Northwestern. And look, as far as the Northwestern offense goes, Mike Wright just doesn't look to be it. So I don't know. I don't know. Oh, who's starting now?
What's his name?
Good thing I didn't bet this yet, because I bet this on the back of.
They changed him last week.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, they did. Jack Lausch.
Oh, well, I didn't watch any of that. So yeah, that's why I didn't bet this, because I did not watch any of that. I don't have a bet on this game.
So since the guy's benched, no team.
No, you can still put it up.
Oh.
I mean,
I'll take it. That could be a 38-7 game. I'll take that.
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I passed on this. Jack Lausch did look good last week against Eastern Illinois, but this is a different breed. This is a Steve Belichick defense. This is tougher. Yeah, I mean, I would lean Washington just because Northwestern's team is just awful. They're having to come down from what they did last year, but yeah, it's not like I'm crazy about it. I'd lean Washington.
Next game. And oh man.
Oh, God. Oh, good God.
Good God.
Good God.
Good God. Well, I did it.
Yeah, I did as well.
I didn't touch this.
So I said in the Discord, guys, I need to get a shot collar to activate every time I think about placing a Florida State bet, because I keep looking at that Florida State -2 and I want to bet it. And then like about 3 hours after that, I placed the bet. I'm on Florida State here. This is disgusting. Can we get the poll up too? I want to see.
Go to hell. Yeah, I will.
Yes.
That's mean.
I can't. I can't. I don't understand. This team has 41 4-star recruits and 4 5-star recruits. The fact that this is under a field goal is mind-numbing. It doesn't make sense. Talent alone, they should win by 10 plus.
Thanks, Lisme.
I know what we've seen, but the fact that this is under a field goal is insanity. I bet Florida State. I don't want to talk about it too long because I don't want this image to be on YouTube for too long with a Florida State. If they lose again and I'm on YouTube with a Florida State logo underneath me, I don't know. It'll steal sleep from me at night. Honestly.
I mean, Florida State is like Rice Jr., DJU. The only thing worse than Deion Sanders coaching is DJU playing quarterback. So, yeah, listen, I'm not personally betting game. If I was taking someone, I'd take Cal because their defense has been really solid and their pass rush can get the DJ. And you see how he throws in a clean pocket, multiply that by 5 when he's under pressure. I mean, Florida State had 11 first downs, 2 for 12 on third downs, 238 against Memphis, and they allowed 4 sacks, 3 turnovers. Like I said, I'm not betting it because there's a gut feeling that Florida State's just going to click one of these games. I just don't see how anyone in their right mind can put money on Florida State. I question your mindset, personally.
Yeah, well, Gab said in the comments, Kyle, free consult later. Gab's a psychologist, for those of you that don't know. And if I lose a Florida State bet here, I'm going to need one. And honestly, like, do you write scripts for SSRIs? Because maybe a Xanax. I'm going to need something if I lose a Florida State bet here. Next.
No, Andy.
No, we don't care what he has to say, though.
Oh,
Dave gave you
I'm
$5,
just joking. I'm
by
joking. Go ahead, Eddie.
yeah, no, I agree. Jeez, I agree. I don't know what it is, but I feel like at some point this team's got to click, right? Like, DJU isn't good, but like he's not this bad. Like, they look putrid against a bad Memphis defense, but yeah, something's got to click here. Give Cal's defense is decent, but let's be fair. Take that game against Auburn away and like.
Auburn gave him 5 turnovers. That's the only reason the defense
4 interceptions, and the guy got benched the week after. Like,
you think Norvell gets fired if he loses this game?
No, Norvell's. They could go 0-12 and he's safe.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I disagree with that, but yeah, I
Bro,
think
his record of the program's like 23-2.
I know part of the problem here too is this is Cal's first ACC game. I assume people are going to show up at Florida State. I'm going to assume the place isn't going to be completely empty yet, right? They're only 0-3, and like they won every game last year besides the Orange Bowl. So like,
I mean, dude, they could still technically win the ACC.
It's an easy ACC. This is their first. It's actually their third conference game. Why the fuck did they
and they're
start
0-2. Like, no, it looks bad, but no one's really jumping on the ACC. Like, you could see Miami drop in the Clemson game, and if they beat Miami, like there's a path here. They have 2 ACC losses. 2 ACC losses could still get you into the ACC championship game. Especially,
I can't even talk about that. What are you doing?
Well, no. I'm saying.
Oh, you're just saying.
No. Andy was saying our fans gonna go. Yeah, of course they're gonna go.
I hope fans are.
I'm not saying. Hold on.
I know you were like making a case.
Yeah,
like,
no.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let's hit the
They
pause.
can beat Miami. They can beat Clemson.
No. Let's hit the pause. Let's hit the pause spot. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I was responding specifically to Andy saying the fans aren't going to go because they're not mathematically eliminated. The fans will still go. That's all. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying.
I'll get Pot back today as well, but I don't know how much that's going to do. Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next game.
Please.
This Florida State logo is under my face for way too long. I had a Florida State logo under my face for like mad.
You both have bets on this, right?
Yeah, I bet it.
Yeah, man.
What's next?
Toledo, Western Kentucky.
Oh, Andy, go ahead.
I love this one. Yeah. Western Kentucky finally did what, I mean, I guess they were kind of forced into it, but finally playing Veltkamp. Finley's hurt for multiple weeks. Veltkamp starting 2 career games now, and he has diced up every single defense he's faced. Toledo, I said it last week. I was wrong, but I said it last week. Toledo's defense is not what they've done so far, right? Mississippi State, I just think they didn't come to play. And Veltkamp has been amazing in the 2 games he's played. And I bought into that. I think this Western Kentucky team is good. This is a home game. Toledo let down. I think it all works. Backup in quotes, because I think Finley should have been the backup the whole time. I don't know what the hell they were thinking coming into the season, but yeah, I think this is a great spot for Western Kentucky overall. This went down. I mean, this opened up. It did like a whole roller coaster. This line. Yeah, when Veltkamp got named the starter, it went the opposite direction where I thought it would. I thought that would help. I mean, because this guy's been unreal in his games so far, but clearly it didn't. But yeah, they're better off without Finley. I promise you that.
Yeah, I agree. Love Western Kentucky here in this line. I got Western Kentucky plus 1.5 early in the week. Western Kentucky was then favored, and I was like, CLV King. No, it swung all the way back the other way and actually lost the point of value on the old roller coaster line. But like Andy said, Veltkamp is playing quarterback now, and he's a much better fit into what they're trying to do here at Western Kentucky. He's like Bailey Zappi. He's like Austin Reed. He's the guy they're looking for. The prototypical pocket passer quarterback. Remember, this is a Western Kentucky team that no matter who their quarterback is, if they have the guy that they want in the pocket, he's going to throw for 4,000 yards. Like, that's just what they do. And like Andy said, I'm not sure why they even brought Finley in. Not that I think Finley is bad or anything. I actually think he got kind of an unfair shake at Auburn, but he's just not a fit here at Western Kentucky. So now that they got the guy, Veltkamp, in, I think they're going to throw the ball all over Toledo. And by the way, this is a Toledo that, in my opinion, is at the ultimate sell high spot after the win in Starkville last week. This is not. I got made fun of for saying this. This is not your grandfather's Toledo team. Yeah, they got the win at Starkville, but I'm starting to think anybody can win at Starkville. So it's a sell high. I think Western Kentucky wins this one by more than 3. So yeah, Western Kentucky outright.
Yeah, I'm on Western Kentucky. Like Kyle said, it's not your grandfather's Toledo team, but let's be honest, Mississippi State ain't worth shit. Before that game, they did let UMass score 23. So Andy's UMass team. I think Toledo can score a ton of points, but I question their defense. I question both defenses really, but getting points at home in Western Kentucky, it's hard to kind of pass up. I think Western Kentucky should be favored here. Veltkamp looked great against Middle Tennessee. I know it's Middle Tennessee, but anything's better than TJ Finley. I think Veltkamp is way better than Finley, and even though Toledo's a pretty great run-stopping team, I think he can pass the ball a ton here. Toledo has a terrible secondary, so I think Western Kentucky wins this outright.
All right. Next game. What is the poll on Western Kentucky? Next game is Sparty. All right, Andy, why don't you I know you want to talk about your boy. This is the president and founder of the
Aiden Childs fan club.
The Aiden Childs fan club here.
Yeah, I gotta say, this was 6.5 yesterday. It's down to 5 on some books. I'm surprised by that. Michigan State's gonna be missing a couple of weapons. I haven't bet this yet. This is a night game. Maybe if some of those guys they're questionable right now, but some of them maybe if they're ruled like they're gonna play, maybe I bet this, but I don't really like it. BC's coming off of, I guess they're motivated, right? They barely lost to Missouri on the road, so like they got to feel good about that one. Had a really good start to the season, good bounce back. I know this is an emotional game there. They do this is the annual red bandana game, so this is like a huge thing for BC. Place is going to be loud, place is going to be crazy. I'll say this, I'm rooting for Michigan State. I have a bet on them to win over 5.5 games. This was one of the quote-unquote gimmies because the schedule is going to get brutal starting next week. But yeah, I'm rooting for Mississippi State here. I'm sorry, Michigan State here. I think they're gonna win, but I wouldn't say like go bet this because there's some injuries there. But Aiden Childs is still a god.
Yeah, I honestly think Michigan State is built to give Boston College problems. I mean, it's not that Michigan State's defense is good. It's not, but they do have a couple really quick athletic linebackers that could maybe. That's what you want, right? Against a quarterback with speed like Castellanos, you want a linebacker that could spy him. Michigan State has 2 of them. So, look, I'm not sitting here trying to tell you Michigan State's defense is good. Nothing like that. So don't take it as that. But I don't hate the matchup. And Boston College defense isn't anything to write home about. If Aiden Childs has a good game, they could win this outright. But like Andy said, I don't have a bet down on it. If I was to place a bet, anything 4 or higher, it would be Michigan State. So you can put Michigan State up as my pick for the game, but I'm not involved in it.
Yeah, I put this earlier in the week. I had Michigan State 6.5. Castellanos cover machine, I love him, but I think this line's a little too much, especially because Michigan State has Andy's boy over there and Aiden Childs, super inaccurate Aiden Childs, but. Both of these teams should put it on the ground. Boston College runs a whole lot. Not that effectively, but enough to open up Castellanos down the field. But, I mean, Michigan State has definitely been getting better offensively since that FAU game. I mean, I know Prairie View helped a lot last week in prep for this game. Michigan State did lose their top 2 guards for the season, so they may have a little bit of a hard time getting going. But their running game has been strong, and they've had some big runs so far this year. But the biggest reason is Joe Rossi. I said it before the season. His team focuses on that line. They're 6th in sacks. Their run defense is 23rd in the league. With that running game for Boston College not working too well, I can see Castellanos running around all game in the backfield. I'll take the points on the road, even though Childs is my quarterback.
Andrew?
Stop throwing picks.
What do you think, Bones Jones? Oh, you went first. You passed. Okay.
Yeah.
Good job, John.
He needs to stop throwing interceptions, and I think he'll be fine. Like.
What game's up next? Oh, Prime's up.
Oh my.
All right, Andrew, are you fading Prime?
So, both teams are wearing white. I don't know if you saw that on Twitter. Both teams tweeted out they're wearing all white. I don't know how that's gonna work.
They wouldn't let that happen.
They wouldn't. I don't know.
They're gonna put pennies on.
There has never been a game where I've looked at it and been like, I have no idea. Like I think Baylor's defense is a little fraudulent. I'll be honest. I think that. I think that Cam Rising getting hurt kind of. I think Cam Rising stays healthy. They probably give up 50 in that game. Like Cam Rising came out and all of a sudden Utah couldn't do anything. We know that's how Utah plays, and like they haven't been tested. Besides that, played Air Force. Good for you. Air Force is awful. They didn't even look great in that one. And then Colorado. I think people kind of didn't even pay attention to what they did last. I feel like people weren't talking about it as much because every time Colorado loses, they kind of fade away from us.
Colorado didn't play good last week, though.
Yes, they did. Hold on.
No. Their defense played better than their offense.
Yeah, their offense looked all right. Yo, put up Colorado for me.
I'm also going to lean Colorado. I also have the Travis Hunter prop. I think he's going to score a touchdown. He's already had 5 this year. I think they're going to score.
Travis Hunter to score a touchdown? That's razor sharp, bro. No one's betting that.
No, I know. I said this. These anytime touchdown props in college, they suck. These odds are everybody's minus money. Literally, you go down the list. There's 10 guys that are minus money. It's ridiculous. Him and Jaquin and Jackson together was plus 200. That's the best I could do in terms of an anytime touchdown. But I think Colorado's going to score a lot tonight, so he'll get in.
This is the bet that this is probably of the bets I have. This is the last one out that didn't make it. I think Colorado wins this game, and I saw a money line at -125. I might even end up betting this and posting it onto the website right after this. I think Colorado wins this game, and I like how Scoop said Colorado didn't play well last week, so that kind of confirms my suspicion of it's crazy to say this might be a buy low spot on Coach Prime. I never even thought there would be a low with the hype that surrounds this team, but people are thinking Colorado's bad. They played Nebraska, which is the worst possible matchup. The worst possible matchup for Colorado is an elite defensive front with a pass rush. That's the worst matchup. That's why I liked Illinois last night, because Illinois has an offensive line. Colorado really doesn't. Baylor doesn't have a defense like that. This defense, yeah, they're 14th in the country in yards per play. They haven't played anybody. The only time Baylor's seen a quarterback this year in the Utah game, Utah was up 23-0 when Cam Rising got hurt. Yeah, then Cam Rising left the game, and the defense looked pretty good for the last 3 quarters of the game, but they were up 23-0 with Cam Rising. I think Shedeur Sanders is going to piece them up. I think Baylor's defense is a little bit fraudulent. And by the way, no one wants to talk about it. Colorado's defense is on the come up, man. They held Nebraska. We just saw, by the way, Raiola looked pretty good last night. The Nebraska defense and the Nebraska secondary questionable, but Raiola looked pretty good last night. We saw the Colorado defense hold them to 0 points in the second half, and they followed it up by holding Colorado State, which is a solid Mountain West offense, or at least they're supposed to be this year, to 9 points. So this Colorado defense that we all like to make fun of, they've allowed 9 points in the last 6 quarters of football. I'm betting this now. Prime up. I'm in.
I'm up.
Yeah.
Now let's pass the mic to our resident Prime hater.
Yeah.
Yeah, Colorado State's complete garbage. Nicolosi can't even throw on a terrible Colorado defense. It was 28-9, but in that second half, Colorado State went interception, fumble, interception. 2 of those led to touchdowns for Colorado. Other than that, Colorado didn't do much that whole game on offense. Then after they scored the touchdown for Colorado State, they fumbled again. So Colorado is too one-dimensional. They need to run the ball. Welch was 9 for 65 yards. They need to use him more. Instead, Shedeur's going to throw for 50 times a game. Plus, this team still had 12 penalties, so they're really undisciplined. Some might pin that on coaching, but as we know, Deion's an amazing guy. He's smart, funny, personality like crazy. Terrible coach, though. But do I trust DeQuan Finn? No, I don't even know if he's playing quarterback or where Sawyer Robertson is. I think Sawyer Robertson should definitely play. But I think Colorado is going to get cooked on the ground. I know the one issue is Baylor hasn't been thrown on. The 3 teams they faced, they had 46 total passes. I think Shedeur is going to throw over 46 just in this game. But they've been good so far. I like their secondary going into this one. Do I think they're going to hold Travis Hunter down? No, probably not. But I think Baylor's going to cause some problems with their defensive line because Colorado's offensive line is complete dog shit. And I think they're going to do enough running the ball to win this game. So it's a shame Deion's going to go 1-3. He's leaving after this year anyway. So Baylor Bears, let's go.
Deion ain't going 1-3, man. I just bet it. I just bet it. I posted to the Discord. I'm in. I'm in on Prime. Next up.
Remember that.
Good call. Wow. No one would have thought of that. No one would have thought of that. All right. Next up, Purdue, Oregon State. We have no up next. After that is Kansas State.
Okay, I will mark that game 22 is the one I'm now on that doesn't have the up next.
I hope we do. Whatever. Put up Purdue for me.
He's so upset.
No, because like, what am I doing? What am I doing taking Purdue to win at 10:30 p.m. in Corvallis?
I don't know.
They're gonna win though.
They're not.
You really like this Walters guy,
real quick,
huh?
Yeah.
Walters is the man.
He's one of your guys.
He's one of my guys.
Shout out to Lord BLT. He called this. He said that he wasn't gonna bet it yet because he knew the line was gonna move. I was stunned when he was right by that. This went from 5.5 to 3.5.
The line moved because sharps are taking Walters here.
Well, I don't understand that. Like, I think Oregon State's coming into this feeling not great about what happened, obviously, last weekend, but they did look like competitive in the first half against Oregon. And like, Purdue didn't look competitive in that game for even 5 seconds. Like, it was over from the first snap. And like, I know Notre Dame was coming in angry and everything, but don't you think Oregon State's pretty damn pissed too? And this one's on the road late night. That was at home for Purdue. Like, I don't see it, but you seem to be backing Purdue a lot lately, so I'm I don't love this much at all. So there's my ringtone. Yeah. I tend to
yeah,
my girlfriend. But yeah, I would lean Oregon State, but you seem very on the Purdue train, so there you go.
You don't know shit about Ryan Walters, that's why.
He is on
gave up
Purdue.
66 points last week.
I mean, I'm with Andy. I don't see Purdue, doing anything really well at all against that Indiana State team. Like I said, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, rest in peace.
He didn't die.
He didn't die.
He's on St. Louis now. Whatever.
He didn't
It's
die,
over
though.
now. It's over. Yeah, I mean, McCoy didn't really have a bad game. They weren't doing enough down the field against Oregon. Oregon just couldn't capitalize anything. Their defense let them down. It is Oregon. I like the offense and defense more on this Oregon State side. It's Purdue's first road game. I don't really have a bet, but yeah, Kyle's on the Purdue train. So
they got the more experienced quarterback. They have the more talented team, and they have a very underrated head coach. And we're catching more than a field goal. Boilermakers. Next up. There, we got our up next back. And hold on, let me check the time on that. 29:55, and this is Kansas State at BYU. Interesting.
I have a bet on this, so.
You go first.
I think Kansas State runs these Mormons out of their stadium.
That feels a bit hateful.
Does make some dumbass plays. That's for sure. But he's a warrior, a Roman god. He's physical. As Toast says, he's cut. I'm not sure why this line isn't double digits. Maybe that's because BYU's overachieving, but they played 3 shit teams: Southern Illinois, an FCS school. Then they played an SMU team who can't figure out a quarterback, and Wyoming, who Svoboda can't throw as a quarterback. He looked like he's throwing with his offhand. So I don't understand. Their defense is giving up 14 points a game, but I'm not a big Retzlaff fan. This Kansas State has played way better opponents, allowing less than 14 points a game, and they're scoring 31 plus in all their games. Plus, Avery Johnson can run past the ball. This Kansas State defense is
he can run.
He can run fast.
He can pass pretty well. He's going to pass pretty well against BYU, I think.
I don't know.
Kansas State has a great defensive line. They're awesome at pressuring the quarterback.
I'll give you that.
And Retzlaff has been awful under pressure. This is going to be the best offensive defense BYU has seen. This is actually my favorite bet of the day. I think Kansas State just absolutely
favorite bet of the day.
Yes.
That guy's crazy. I agree.
What do you think? What do you think, Bones Jones?
Ditto. I actually agree with a lot of what he said. I don't buy it from BYU early on. We've looked at if you look at BYU's schedule, Wyoming, what the hell are they even like? And SMU, they've been one of the most disappointing teams in the country so far. Like, that's 2 teams they played that are complete opposites of what we expected. So really, I don't know how to read BYU too much. I know it's tough to play there. Provo's a very tough place to play late at night, and it's a letdown for Kansas State because they did beat the hell out of Arizona. But I think that this team's not letdown free, but I think that this is a good spot for them to just come in. Nice, smooth game. I don't think BYU is playing a different style than they're necessarily used to with Retzlaff. So I think that Kansas State can win this one comfortably. But also, I think Avery Johnson has a decent arm. I think he can throw a little bit. So
decent.
He's definitely a dynamic guy that can help them.
Cut.
Just don't make me. He made some dumbass mistakes that kept that one close in the first half. He's not cut. I would detest
What does that be? Like, you mean like, all right. So he's on Kansas State. Is that what you said, Bones Jones?
Yeah,
You're so roundabout about your shit. All right.
Thanks, man.
All right, guys, hear me out. I didn't place this yet. I was waiting for this part of the show to see what you guys think. What do you guys feel about an under 49.5 here? I think maybe this BYU defense is something. Look, they're not the number. They're not this good. They went into Wyoming and held Wyoming to 2.3 yards per carry. Now Wyoming looks terrible, but still, that's an offensive line that was pretty decent last year that brought back a lot of production. Stopping their run game, I think, especially in Wyoming, you deserve some credit for that. Svoboda doesn't look like to be it at quarterback. But they held Wyoming to 2.3 yards per carry. BYU's sitting at 6th in the country in yards per play allowed. Look, by no means am I saying, hey, BYU's got this elite defense. What I'm saying is BYU's defense might be okay. That's what I'm saying. They might be okay. They've looked pretty good. They completely blanked SMU. What was that, 18-15? They beat SMU. And this Kansas State, this is not your typical Chris Kleiman Kansas State team. They have a very good defensive front. Kansas State is a great defensive front, and that's just like usually Kansas State. It's like, oh, Kansas State's playing, it's going to be 45-40. That's not this Kansas State team. Not only do they have a great defensive front, that might even be the strength of their team. Well, probably their run game is the strength of their team, but their run defense I would put right there. This is a defense that blanked Arizona, that made Arizona look bad. They made Fafita look bad. I think this got to be under here. Kansas State knows that they're the better team. They're coming into this game thinking, all we got to do is hand the ball off and not fuck this game up, and we'll win. So I expect Kansas State to just hand the ball off. Avery Johnson doesn't throw the ball like Will Howard does. He runs it. So I just expect the clock to be rolling, and I think BYU's defense is capable of making some stops here. I don't necessarily disagree with your guys' pick. I wouldn't take BYU to cover, but I think the best bet is to take this one to stay under the total. Next. Where is Tennessee, Oklahoma?
Where is Tennessee, Oklahoma? I put it in there.
Oh, there it is. Wait.
Isn't it at the end? I think you put it at
the end. Tennessee, Oklahoma is it's the last one. So all right.
Oh man.
So what's next? This one will be quick because I don't have anything to say. Go ahead, Andy.
Yeah, I'm leaning TCU here. SMU, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're trying to do. They started the season with Preston Stone, felt really good about him at quarterback. He's a 3,000-yard passer. Then they started throwing in this Jennings kid who was more dual threat. That didn't work, and then they kept doing it, and now he's the starter. So, I don't know what to expect from this offense. They're not very good. And I know what I'm getting from TCU. I think Hoover's going to throw for his 250-plus, maybe 200-plus, and 2 touchdowns. I think he's just going to be what he is, and I don't think this SMU team's going to be able to keep up. So, yeah, I would lean TCU, but I don't love it. This game's a weird one.
Yeah, my thoughts on this game could be summed up in about 2 sentences. If you go by what we are expecting from these teams entering the season, you have to take SMU as a home dog. If you go by what we've seen so far this year, then you have to take TCU because they've looked much better. SMU, I don't even know what's going on. Preston Stone isn't even the starter anymore. I don't even know how that happened. SMU this year is a really good example of how important the offensive line is because they brought back their quarterback who was a star last year. They brought back their weapons. The question mark on this SMU offense was the offensive line. They lost 3 starters, and then everything seemed to have collapsed around the offensive line. In fact, I heard someone say that the reason they made the quarterback change is because Jennings is more mobile and the offensive line isn't holding up. I don't know if there's any truth to that, but somebody said it, and I was like, yeah, that sounds like it might make sense. So, yeah, I guess, gun to my head, SMU, but no. He said TCU, and he said TCU.
Yeah, I would lean TCU, too. SMU, I know I had 2 weeks to prepare for this one, but I can't really back their team. Kevin Jennings and Preston Stone don't do much for me at all. I think both quarterbacks aren't that great. You can see why by that BYU game. Josh Hoover's done a nice job so far from TCU. I think everyone's on TCU, but that's because TCU is going to move the ball. I think SMU's line isn't the same from last year, and Hoover's just a better quarterback than SMU has seen in Retzlaff and Brendan Lewis from BYU and Nevada. TCU just has a better offense than both teams. Williams and Becker is going to get open a ton, I think, in this game, and TCU did win this game by 17 last year. And honestly, I think those teams were closer in talent here last year than in this one. I think SMU has just got I think they got worse. So I think all the transfers from SMU just aren't clicking yet. So their offense runs a fast pace, but they're 99th in yards per play. I just don't see them having enough offense to stay in this one.
All right, next up is the Louisiana game, and this is another one where I really don't have much to say. I think the sharp pick is to take Louisiana here, but they haven't played anybody yet, and this freshman quarterback on Tulane looks like he can make some plays. It would be Louisiana for pass here. We got to get to the good game, so make it quick.
Yeah, this is one of my bets, actually. I like that Oklahoma game. Tulane should have covered. I'm still mad about it. Louisiana's been great so far these 2 games, but again, with some of these teams so far early in the year, they played Grambling and Kennesaw State. So exactly. I like what I've seen out of Tulane through 3 weeks, even though they're 1-2. They played 2 top 20 teams into the 4th quarter. Kansas State, they were winning in the 4th. Against Oklahoma, they were down 5. This team, I think it really is a great team. Mensa should play a lot better off the Oklahoma game against Louisiana defense, who's 92nd in defensive rating. I know Louisiana also has a week off coming from into this one, but I just really like the way Tulane's playing. Like I said, I mean, like you just said, that being said, everybody and their mother's on Tulane. It's super square, but I'm just going to take Tulane here.
I'd be on the other side, but pass.
Yeah, I'm on Louisiana. I think they play better against zone. They throw better against zone. Tulane runs a lot of zone. I think Mensa struggled in his one road game. I know it was against Oklahoma, but it was still a road game. So I think it'd be a tough road game for the guy home, taking the home dog there.
All right, let's move on to the next game, which is Clemson's next. And I did lay the points with Clemson here. All right, so I have Clemson at, I think, at 19.5, so it actually moved down. I don't really understand why. I don't know how you have any faith in this North Carolina State team right now. In fact, I think Tennessee might have knocked NC State into a rebuild year here. Tennessee embarrassed this program. Now, keep in mind, there's no Grayson McCall. Yeah, and maybe CJ Bailey, maybe he's the real deal. But he's a freshman, and he's on the road in Clemson. I mean, he looked okay in the game, in the Louisiana Tech game. He did make a couple plays, but he also threw a pick. That was against Louisiana Tech. On the road in Clemson, they're going to be all over him. I mean, he's going to have no run support. This NC State team couldn't run the ball anyway, let alone on the road in Clemson. They're not going to be able to run the ball. CJ Bailey is going to have to play hero ball here against a Clemson defensive front that's going to be on him in less than 3 seconds every single time he drops back. I don't know how you expect NC State to score points here. And on the other side of the ball, this NC State defense is not the same. I don't know if it's Peyton Wilson, the captain, their leading tackler for the last 15 years is gone. It's 3 of the last 4 years, not 15. I'm exaggerating, but he's gone. He's on the Steelers now. And this NC State defense isn't quite the same. Now, I'm sure that they're not a bad defense. I'm sure it's NC State. I'm sure they still have a solid defense, but this is a Clemson offense that I think should be improved. We haven't really gotten to see it. They flashed some of it in the App State game. App State's defense is terrible, but it was 42-0 in the first quarter. Remember, Clemson brought back 4 starters on the offensive line. They should average 7-8 yards a carry in this one. So, yeah, I laid the points of Clemson. It's not one of my favorite bets, but I do think Clemson wins by 3+ touchdowns.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'll trash more NC State during the Tennessee game. But, yeah, we've only seen Clemson twice, a blowout loss and a blowout win, which to App State, which we thought was a more quality opponent then. But you heard me before. I'm not a big Klubnik guy. Grayson calls out for NC State, which really may be better off for them. CJ Bailey's getting his first start, and really this is going to be a rough road for him. Clemson should protect Klubnik most of the game here. I know Klubnik struggled against the power conference teams, but NC State this year doesn't look good at all. So, I mean, they're usually great at getting into the backfield, but so far that really hasn't been the case except for, Davin Van. Plus, I'm not sure NC State's offensive line is real an offensive line at all. Clemson's front seven is better here. It should give a new quarterback a rough go. And plus, let's be real, before the wheels come off, they did hold Georgia to 6 points at half. I just don't see how Bailey's going to move the ball against Clemson.
Andy, anything else that we didn't say?
Yeah, no, I agree. 100%. NC State's let us down. I backed them pretty hard against Tennessee.
Me too. I had the +10. I thought I had a great number too.
Yeah, and without Grayson McCall, I just don't look at this roster is really not that good the way that they're playing. Their receiving core is good, but nobody's there to throw them the ball. So, yeah, I think Clemson blows them out. Clemson's a good team. I know they lost to Georgia and they got blown out, but they're a good team.
All right, let's move on to the next game, which is Iowa-Minnesota. I've been sitting here waiting for a Minnesota +3. Has one popped since we've been live? Nope, still 2.5. I mean, put up Minnesota +2.5 for me, but if it doesn't touch 3, I mean, you can literally 2 sentences, copy and paste exactly what I said when I took Iowa State +2.5 against Iowa. What was that, 2 weeks ago? Copy and paste. Iowa's the better team here, but the very likely final score of this game is 16-14, 14-13, 17-16, 20-18. That's very likely final scores of this game. So catching points matters. This Minnesota defense looks really good, and it's on the road in Minnesota. I know everyone's like, oh, Iowa has a new offense. Last 2 weeks, Cade McNamara has 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So it's looking like same old Iowa to an extent. I wouldn't take PJ Fleck to win the game because Ferentz owns him. But I think, like I said, final score of this game, 17-16. I don't care who wins. The dog should cover.
I disagree. Iowa has covered in this spot. I covered against Minnesota on the road in the last 8 matchups since 2014.
Not last year? On the road. Okay.
Oh, boy. I took the money line though. If you slide it over one more, I took the money line because I'm protecting from the fact that this game probably gonna be 12-10.
That's what I'm saying. So you do agree with it. You go, I disagree. I'm taking the money line because it might be 12-10.
Think that Iowa's
going
to win it. I agree with the fact that the game's going to have a stupid score and 2.5 probably too high. I think it'll be a 1-2 point win for Iowa. They can't win by anything more. They're not capable of it. So I was protecting myself there. I think Iowa's going to win the game though. I don't think this minute. I mean, Max Brosmer's worse. Is really bad against good defenses. He's facing the best now. So, like, I don't think it's a good spot for him at all.
Yeah, I mean, points are going to be at a premium this game, as Toe says, but I like the over here. This Iowa team had an offensive explosion last week against Troy. 38 points? Are you kidding me? Yeah, Caden McNamara is okay. I mean, nothing special, but chances are they're going to give it to Caleb Johnson all game here. Yeah, these are two very slow-paced teams, but Iowa keeps going over. Went over the Iowa State game, went over the Troy game. They went over in that Illinois State game. These guys are over gurus. And this defense gave up 21 to Troy. They gave up 20 to Iowa State. Minnesota has a really solid defense. They pitched back-to-back shutouts, but they were against Rhode Island and Nevada. So, yeah, Minnesota only gave up 17 points this season. But I think both rushing games are going to get going here. I could see this game being a 20-17 type game. Plus, I kind of think Iowa lost a bit or two defensively. They're still really strong, but they've given up chunk plays. Especially to Troy, they had 60-yard touchdowns twice. So if Browser opens it up a little, I think this can definitely go over 35.5.
Over. All right. 35.5 is super low. Punt and return puts it over. All right, so let's go on to the next game. USC, Michigan. I hate my bet in this one. So I this is one that I took super early in the week. I took an over. The market definitely is against that. It's bet it down. I think you could get like a 44 now. I have an over 45.5. I got a terrible number. I don't even like my bet. I think Michigan's able to break a big. My reasoning for the bet was I like Michigan to break a big play or two in this game. Now that Orgy's the starting quarterback, nobody has any film on Michigan with this guy as the main starting quarterback because he always comes in specific situations to run specific plays. Nobody has any idea what this Michigan's offense is going to look like with this brand new coaching staff and a brand new quarterback. That it's a completely different style. He has like 7 career pass attempts. He usually comes in to run the ball. So USC has no idea what to expect. Danton Lynn, the defensive coordinator for USC, I don't know how he's going to game plan to stop this Michigan offense because he has no idea what's coming. We know it's not going to be great, but I think he gets hit off guard with a couple of plays. I wouldn't be surprised if Michigan scores a couple touchdowns early on like a weird reverse, but some kind of weird play. So I think it goes over because I trust Miller Moss and the USC. Man, those USC receivers and Miller Moss are impressive, and I don't care that it's Michigan's defense. LSU played good defense against USC in the opener. They still made plays. They're that good. So I expect USC offense to be able to score, and I think Michigan's going to shock us and get into the end zone a couple times. So I have the over. I don't even like my bet though, so I take it or leave it.
Yeah, I'm on USC here. USC's good, Michigan's bad. That's that's just the way I look at it. You are what you chose to start Davis Warren. That was your guy. And you're saying his arm's better than the guy you're putting in now? Like, why wasn't Orgy starting? Well, probably because he's worse than Davis Warren, which means whatever we're going to get today is going to be really bad with him throwing the ball. I have low expectations for that. Maybe they're able to run the ball. They weren't really explosive running the ball against Texas, obviously, and USC's defense has been better. But I do think maybe they break a play or two, but man, I think they're going to dice up. I think the Michigan defense is not as good as people think it is. When they run zone coverage, and that's all they do. They're running 32. They're 32nd in zone coverage this year. They're getting diced up. Miller Moss loves throwing against zone. He is first in completion percentage and 5th in passing grade. This dude's dicing up zones this year, and that's what they're running. So I don't think the style fits Michigan. I don't think the Michigan defense is very good. They lost a lot of talent from last year. I know it's at the big house, right? It's just a building. Doesn't matter. They've gotten blown out there once this year. I think it's very possible it happens again. So
everyone is picking this to be a blowout. Everybody. I'm on the other side. I may be the dumbest person ever, but I'm going to grab Michigan. I'm going to grab Michigan at home with the points. As much as you watch their games and get disgusted, Michigan hasn't been that bad. They've been really solid defensively, except that Texas game. But some parts actually wasn't bad at all. I think they can actually slow down USC in their pass attack. Plus, Alex Orji at quarterback is a lot better than Davis Warren. I'm sorry, but did you see Davis Warren in that Arkansas State game? They did 3 picks.
Then why was Orji the backup, dude?
So why are any of these people fucking starting? Like, why is Sabonis still playing in Washington? It doesn't make sense. To some people, it just doesn't make sense. A team's get a boost switching quarterbacks. They do. It ignites the fan base. It makes the players happier, especially their key players on offense. Plus, I still don't trust USC's defense after 2 games. Lim came in from UCLA to really bolster their defense, but they can still be run on. You'll see it this game. Michigan in that Texas State game, they played well defensively, except for third downs, where they were 10 for 16 on third downs. I think that's going to improve this game. Trust me, Alex Orji is going to make this offense look entirely different than it did in the first 3 games. He'll tuck it and run when there's nothing. He won't force stupid-ass interceptions like Davis Warren. I think Michigan's going to control the line of scrimmage, get 5 to 6 yards of pop on the ground. Maybe not Donovan Edwards, because Caleb Mullings apparently is a better runner. But I think Michigan stays in this game the whole game. I think this will be. I think they actually have a chance to win here.
I mean, no question, professional bettors are on your side. The market's been buying this number down, so no question, the sharp money is coming in on Michigan. I don't 100% see it, but I'm not. This is not a person that's holding a USC ticket. I took the over because I could see Michigan running the ball. I think a Scoop, as crazy as he is, it does make some valid points there. USC's defensive front is certainly not Texas' defensive front. So, all right, let's go on to the next one, which should be Cam Rising, the Cam Rising circus.
Yeah, I'm not even. I didn't even. I mean, I looked at the game, but like,
yeah, we'll be on this game for about 30 seconds because it's very simple. If Cam Rising plays, Utah is the move for me, and it's not even a hesitation. I think they are the much better team in every facet of the game, other than maybe running back, as Oklahoma State is an NFL back there in Ollie Gordon. But I mean, you don't think Ollie Gordon's an NFL player? All right, whatever. We're not going to have that. We're not doing that right now. So yeah, Utah's the play. I didn't bet this because Kyle Whittingham, it's not that I blame him. He's just doing what he thinks gives his team the best chance to win. And using the injury reports and the lack of rules in the NCAA where you don't have to declare anything, using that to your advantage. If he thinks it gives his team an advantage, hey, he's just doing his job, trying to win football games. But as somebody betting on the games, as somebody covering the games, it's a real pain in the ass. So let's not even spend too much time on this one. It's Utah for me at Cam Rising plays.
Yeah, I wrote a lot for this, but I'll narrow it down in 2 sentences. If Cam Rising plays, I would take Utah. If he doesn't, I would take Oklahoma State.
Yo, like dead ass. Kinda. Yeah.
I don't think Isaac Wilson can do enough against Oklahoma State, but I think Cam Rising can. So
I'm gonna be on Oklahoma State no matter what. I was leaning toward him before Rising was playing, but I'm gonna assume he's gonna play.
Well, wait, hold on. You're actually taking Oklahoma State with Cam Rising in?
Yeah. I think I think people are completely misunderstanding what this team is. Look, they look bad against Arkansas, but they came back, they fought, they won, and then they look good in the other 2 games.
They just can't run the ball.
Shit out of Tulsa. Look, Ollie Gordon's had a bad start, but he's going to get going. Week 4 was when he got going last year. I think week 4 is when he gets going again this year. He had a rough start last year. He wound up almost winning the Heisman last year, right? So he's going to be fine. So I think they'll be able to run the ball and get a lot going.
I think they're the worst team here.
Plus, how can I trust that Cam Rising's going to stay in the freaking game?
I mean, that's why I won't argue is I don't know.
He's like 30 years old, still getting hurt every goddamn play.
Next up, what is like age? If anything, that would mean you're more likely to get injured.
He's been doing it for a decade now, basically.
Go to physical.
All right. Anyway, final game: Tennessee at Oklahoma. I actually don't know what side you guys are on here. What do you want, Andy?
I'm on Tennessee. I lean Tennessee. I haven't bet it yet, but I think people's expectations for Oklahoma is that Jackson Arnold's now going to be this like guy, this high recruit, right? Like I haven't seen it yet, but what I have seen is Nico Amaleva go crazy, and I know Oklahoma has a good defense, but it hasn't been like dominant yet. So like maybe if we see that, it could be something. But I've seen Nico go crazy. Now that this is under a touchdown, I kind of like Tennessee a lot more. I think they'll win by a touchdown. Even on the road, I think it'll be a tough environment for Nico, but there's so much talent there that I think they'll be fine. Oklahoma's offense has been putrid. Their running game hasn't gotten going. They were the running game kind of helped Dylan Gabriel last year. Without that, this young quarterback's had no support around him. And now you're going to run on Tennessee. I don't think it's going to happen. I like this Tennessee defensive front. Secondary's rough, but again, I don't know how much Jackson Arnold's been able to do with his arm or how much he's going to be able to do. So Tennessee.
Scoop.
Yeah, I'm probably the only one on Oklahoma here. I think there's too much stock
I'd
in
lean that way.
Tennessee's first 3 games. The NC State game is the only one worth anything, and yeah, they looked amazing there, but NC State isn't worth anything either. They were down 17-6 at home to Louisiana Tech last game, and CJ Bailey had to keep this game in it to win. So Tennessee played 3 shit teams. No, Oklahoma hasn't looked amazing, but they did play 2 semi-competent teams in Houston and Tulane. Getting a full touchdown in Norman, that's tough. It's hard to pass up. And it's their first SEC game at home against Tennessee. Yeah, fire me up, man. Oklahoma has a phenomenal defense. They're 13th in defensive rating in the country. They'll line up. They can stop the run. They can pressure Tennessee's quarterback. Do I like Jackson Arnold? No, not at all, really. But I don't think they'll put it in his hands a lot unless it's to run, which he can do pretty well. Burns and Tatum, I think they're going to get the ball a lot here. I know Dylan Sampson's on another level right now, but like I said, Tennessee hasn't played anyone. I'll say it over and over again. And I know everyone is on Tennessee. Everyone I see is on Tennessee. Everywhere I look is on Tennessee. Oklahoma's going to cover here. I think this is going to be a back-and-forth game. And the last time Oklahoma lost in Norman was 2016, which was 8 years ago. So I don't see – shut the – I will kill you. And Oklahoma is going to win this game outright.
Yeah, that's a crazy call. But my opinion on this game is everyone's looking at this and they're talking about Nico versus Jackson Arnold, and that is not the showcase here. The showcase is the 2 top 8 defenses in the country, and I'm surprised that more people aren't looking. I mean, I know the superstars are on the offensive side, right? But I mean,
sneaky under. Right?
Yeah, I'm on the under.
Yeah.
I think I got it at 58.5. So I guess I got a little. I forget what does that graphic say? 57. Okay, so I got 57.5. So no, I didn't get CLV, but I'm on the under here. The 2 certainties in this game are these are 2 elite defenses. This is not Lincoln Riley's Oklahoma. This is Brent Venables' Oklahoma. This is a defense first team, and they're good as shit. This is a really good Oklahoma defense. I don't think people realize it because Oklahoma was such a run and gun team with Lincoln Riley for a few years there. This is Brent Venables' Oklahoma. This is a defense first team, and Tennessee is one of the best defenses in the country. Yes, the quarterbacks have some names. Nico looks like the man, but it's a freshman making a road start against a top 10 defense. I mean, there's mistakes are going to come. Tennessee might not be able to run the ball here. They're going to average 8 yards a carry on the road in Norman. It ain't happening. That being said, Jackson Arnold looks bad. They cannot get Sawchuck going. Oklahoma's offense looks terrible. That's why I couldn't pull the trigger on Oklahoma plus the points, even though I wanted to. I'm taking the under. These are 2 elite defenses, and the total's at 57 with 2 of the best defenses in the country. That's where I'm at.
Miss me with that home stuff too, by the way. They play their only competition they had in the Big 12. The only competition they had in the Big 12 last 10 years was Texas, and they play that game at a neutral site. They will be at home for the last decade.
Yeah, I see everyone in the chat saying over with 2 top 10 defenses. It's crazy. Community parlay.
Community parlay, the parlay we bet, yeah. Community parlay is for the community. We community, making a parlay. Yeah.
All right, it's 11:57, so we're going to do speed voting. Speed voting here.
The A-Dog's got a underdog?
Oh, we'll do while they're voting.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I mean, okay. I'm gonna cut off your 12 p.m. leg, Andy, because I mean nobody's gonna.
Nobody's really gonna.
Kansas money line. Florida money line.
Last year.
Put in Cincinnati money line and Virginia money line. Did you want to do the underdog?
Yep.
Yeah, here's his 2-piece.
Yep, so we're starting with Calandria again. We talked about it. Coastal Carolina hasn't been tested by a quarterback this year. This is a big test. He throws really well. Like I think Scoop said, small game merchant, so he does really well against bad defenses. So be a good shot. And Alex Orji lower than 124 passing yards. 124.5 passing yards. We haven't seen the guy throw. I'm not really sure he's going to throw. I think they're going to run the ball a ton today. And even when he does throw, we don't know what we're getting. So I'm going lower. That's on awfully. I won't say awfully high, but it's pretty high in comparison to what we've actually seen from the guy. So yeah, under there.
Yep. And then in terms of promos, we've got CeeDee Lamb free pick for all customers on Underdog. So if you have an account already, that is a free square that you can add to Andy's 2 picks already. So for the pick that cut off for the 12 o'clocks, you can add that. And then if you're a new customer and want to sign up, you can use Mahomes over a half total yard. That's the thing that I was thinking of. You could sign up using the promo code BET, and you could get a deposit match up to $1,000 in one of these states here on the map. Yellow states.
Yeah, that promo code's BET.
Eligible.
That's promo code BET, B-E-T. All right, what's the first leg?
All right, Ball Talk. Yo, AJ, when are you posting those NFL props? They're on the site. I just need to get them on the other thing.
So Kansas money line, it looks like won the first poll.
Yeah.
Kansas Jayhawks are in the community parlay. Next poll. Next poll, we're going Louisville money line. Auburn money line. Texas Tech money line. And we'll do Florida State money line. No, Cal won. Cal money line. They voted for Cal. Yeah.
I put FSU money line.
Yeah, Kansas is as 12 o'clock. We can't even put it started. All right. Can't do the community parlay.
Yeah, I mean,
we missed it. Sorry, we were about 2 minutes behind schedule. It's supposed to be finishing right on time, so sorry about that. Yeah, but anyway, thanks everyone for watching. Be back tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern time for NFL. Me, Toast, Prop Beaver, and Steve from Just About Outside. Same group as last week. So we'll be back 11 a.m. Eastern time to go through every single NFL game. Let's have ourselves a nice Saturday. Remember to bet responsibly. Yeah, talk to you. Oh, my top bets are on the website. I have 3 top bets, a high-risk parlay, a medium-risk parlay, and an upset of the day on there. It's on KyleKirms.com. You'll see it. It's right on the website if you're interested. Talk to you later.